And welcome, kiddies. It's your old Uncle Gobby. And you're watching superhero stuff you should know. And listening with your ear holes, those of you that are on the podcast only. Mm-hmm. And here today to join me is our dear old daughtering, Auntie Andy.
Hello, everyone.
As well as the guy who taught me that with great power comes great responsibility, Uncle Ben.
Yes, hello everyone. I'm going to be here for the first third, and then I'm going to get shot to death so that Zack learns his lesson for us to continue. So, see you for the next few minutes.
That's all right. I'll bring you back for some flashbacks. It's okay.
Okay, cool. Sounds good to me.
Well, we'll see if our views take a dive, but today we are going to do something a little bit different.
It's still on concept art, everybody.
That's right. We're going to be focusing on my favorite webhead, Spider-Man, and his unmade spider suit. So we are really going to be taking a deep dive into mostly concept art, some photography, looking at the Spidey suits that never quite made it to the screen. So we are continuing on with the concept art angle and just looking at things that never happened, which to me is always extremely interesting. And I'm a really big Spider-Man fan. I know we haven't talked too much about Spider-Man specifically, but yeah, he's probably my second favorite superhero. Uncle Ben, what are your thoughts on Spider-Man as a character?
He's all right. No, I do.
You get honesty here with this pod.
Oh my god!
I like Spider-Man. He might not be my number one Marvel character, but I mean, I've followed all the movies, I've read the comics, the animated series from the 90s, of course, is like my first introduction to the character, and that was like, to me, those are still the voices I hear when I read the comics. I don't hear Maguire or Garfield or Holland. I hear Christopher Daniel Barnes in it, which is kind of a weird. It must be how people felt when they went from growing up on Kevin Conroy to watching Christian Bale, where they're just like, oh, when I got to the Maguire movies, I'm like, oh, that's kind of weird. There was some weird cognitive dissonance when I first saw the first Spider-Man with Maguire's voice. And it's not like there's anything wrong with Maguire's voice. It was just not Christopher Daniel Barnes. So I'm like, oh, okay. And I had to get used to that when I was a kid on that. But yeah, the Raimi movies, I think, were ones that I appreciated more, funny enough, as the newer ones came in. I don't think I appreciated them as much until I was older, funny enough. On that, because there's still a lot of nostalgia, and there's a nostalgia factor too, and the Danny Elfman music does kick in with that, as well as the visuals, but the actual storytelling and the characterization, I don't think I fully appreciated until I was older, and I really took a look at just the economy of the storytelling or the screenwriting, and especially the first one, and how well they make you feel for this character, and how much they set up. In the first 5 minutes of Spider-Man, the first one, they set up so much in not a lot of time, but it's kind of incredible how quickly they do it in a way that really establishes who Peter, MJ, Harry, and Norman Osborn all are within the first 5 minutes. It's great how they do that. So it's a great one. Spider-Man 2, of course, one of the greatest ones on there. And other than that, the others,
I mean, they've just been okay for you.
Spider-Man 3 is one where I saw after everybody was shitting on it. So it was one of those where I already knew going in about the jazz sequence and him dancing on the street. And
you didn't experience that in all its glory.
No, I didn't have the opening night experience.
I did. Unfortunately,
where you're just what the fuck is this? I already. So to me, I'm just like, okay, this isn't. It's tough to go in. Knowing all that type of stuff and still kind of have the same opinion. I was kind of just like, oh, okay, this is not so bad. I think they were a little gutsy, actually. Not necessarily with the jazz hand stuff, but with the idea of, hey, here's your hero for the first two. Here's our kind of Rocky 3-esque type story of what happens when the fame gets to his head. And how does he get more humbled from that? So I like that they took that risk there. It might not have necessarily gelled very well compared to the first two, but it was, I think, an admirable idea. So you had to go with. And then the Andrew Garfield Spider-Man movies, I've I've had mixed feelings towards. I think Andrew Garfield is a fantastic actor. I think he is probably actually the best actor out of the three, even if he's not my favorite Spider-Man. But the actual scripts he had to work with, especially the second one, is just kind of a mess. The second one more so than the first one. The first one isn't.
The second Amazing Spider-Man movie makes Spider-Man 3 look like The Godfather 2.
I'm about to rewatch both of them.
No, I disagree, but we'll get to that.
Okay, all right, we'll get to Auntie Andy in a minute.
Yeah.
Keep
but
going.
Amazing Spider-Man 2 was a similar experience to Spider-Man 3 to me. If I heard all the bad hype for a Spider-Man movie, I just didn't. It's not like Batman to me, where I'm just like, oh fuck, I guess I might as well see it. Like I just stayed away from the theater and then saw it like years after all the complaints. So that's another one where I'm just like, okay, I don't think it was as bad as people said, but it's not great either. Mm-hmm. And then like the MCU Spider-Man stuff, I think Tom Holland is solid in the role. I'm not, and I think Andrew and I are in agreement with this, and maybe you are too, Zach, where I'm just like, I'm not as in love with Holland in the role as a lot of people are. I do like him, don't get me wrong, but like it seems like there is a lot of there's a strong fandom for that and for those movies, and I just don't have the same feeling towards this one. I think they have some cool ideas in there, but ultimately I don't think I feel for that Peter Parker in the same way that I did for the previous versions on that, and maybe that'll change with this new one.
Yeah, I kind of dig Tom Holland. I think he's I really like him as Spider-Man and Peter Parker. I think he's probably my second favorite. Andrew's like Andrew is my least favorite. No, it's
we all know that.
Yeah, who's your least favorite Spider-Man?
Those movies were just.
Who's your least favorite Spider-Man though?
Those movies were just a little bit like disappointing to me, and I think Andrew Garfield just really kind of put me off in the first one because he was so moody, and he was rude to Aunt May, and that is unforgivable.
Yeah,
at one point.
I mean, they really wanted to do the Batman Begins type-esque tone for Spider-Man in that, to the point where you flat out have him being, trying to fight crime before he dons the Spider-Man costume, and it doesn't work, and he needs the Spider-Man outfit in order to fight crime. And I'm just like, why does this seem familiar to me? This is very Batman-esque on it. But I think it was another experiment where I think the whole point of the first Amazing Spider-Man is that he's not the Tobey Maguire version. He is a little bit more of a brat, a lot more moody and stuff. Somebody who hasn't learned responsibility, and he is supposed to learn responsibility. He learns to be Spider-Man in that. So maybe he's not as likable as the Tobey Maguire version, but I think that was kind of the point on that. Fortunately or unfortunately.
Yeah, you know what? And you guys can correct me, our listeners and viewers. I thought I read that Spider-Man 3 was still the highest grossing Spider-Man movie to date.
It could be, because it was the third in a successful trilogy.
Yeah, which is amazing. I wonder if, No Way Home is going to beat that. I have a feeling that it will, but...
I think so, too, considering how tough it was for people to get tickets.
That's right. Auntie Andy, what are your thoughts on Spider-Man?
I'm glad you asked this. I didn't know if we would even get to this question, but I'm similar to Ben. I like them. I'm going to see all the movies. I've seen all of them in the theater. It's like Star Wars, like I like it. It's not my favorite thing ever, though. Like if a Batman movie and a Spider-Man movie come out in the same day, and a Star Wars movie, the order will be Batman, maybe Star Wars, then Spider-Man. I don't know. It depends on what they're looking like in the 2 and 3 position, what the trailers look like. But so like I did watch the Fox cartoon back in the day, but I don't know if I had seen the X-Men one first or what, but and I just always was that kid that I like deep things. I like gravitas, even though I didn't know what that word was when I was a kid. I like, and X-Men was just hitting that for me, like real hard. I would see X-Men on Saturday morning, and they talk about evolution, and the whole fucking premise is evolution. And then I go to church on Sunday, and as a kid, I'm having these two ideas, these big ideas, just kind of back to back growing up. And then Spider-Man's cool. He's fun. And, to this day, he is Marvel's top seller. After all of this Avengers shit, all the fucking movies. It's because he's your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. He's funny. He is a kid. It's a full face mask. His powers are
He
cool.
could be anyone, yeah.
Yeah, so like there's he's Marvel's Batman, so like I get it. It's I understand. And like Wolverine's not my favorite either, but I can understand why he's the favorite X-Men too. It's just that there's just certain characters that are going to stand above the rest for most people. So I get it, but like I will say, when I was a kid, I remember watching. It was like a bumper at the end of one of the episodes of Spider-Man, and then it was like had to do with Kingpin, and then Peter Parker walks in, or maybe Spider-Man, I can't remember who it was, but he's like, I don't get it. If I lose, you win, and if I win, you also win. And then he turns around and he goes, that's why they call me the King.
Yes.
And me as a kid, I was like, oh my God, this is my number one Spider-Man memory. Like I was like, this show was incredible. I love the idea.
Brilliant.
I love that the Kingpin was gonna win no matter what.
Yeah.
So that was fucking sweet. So I was a fan of that. He was in a lot of video games too, so I was following all those. I've only read a few of the comics, which brings me to the movies. I think I said this in a monthly meetup, so this is for the main show. I'm a little bit older than you guys by like 5 years or something. So like I was in like 11th grade when the first one came out, and I was in college for the second one, and I might have been living in fucking Japan for the third one out of college. So like I was definitely a grown ass man, a young adult for 2 and 3. Like I have the nostalgia for it, but I think since especially you, Zach, you saw this when you saw the first one, you're like in middle school?
Yeah, 8th grade.
8th grade. So yeah,
So
that
just about
like
in high
really,
school,
there's nothing like that time with nostalgia. So I get it. I don't have that with these movies. I do like them. I've seen them several times. The third Raimi, I don't. It's just not good, man. Here's a bold statement. I like the second Garfield one more than the third Raimi.
You're entitled to your opinion.
Even though I love Venom, I've grown to love Venom even more in recent years. But like fucking, I don't know. Anyway, I don't hate the Garfield ones either. Like I guess it's just too different from the Peter you read in the comics or something. So I get it.
Yeah.
But like for me, I've never read a whole lot of it. A lot of the times when I've read Spider-Man, it's part of another Marvel thing, like the Civil War comics or whatever the fuck. He's in the mix, but it's not a Spider-Man comic. He's funny as hell, and some of the writers make him funny as hell, though. I love reading the comedy. So, and then so Tom Holland is cool. Again, I like it. I get it. It's cool. It needs to be in the MCU for sure. Like I understand why they did that deal with him, because he's still technically at Sony, I think.
Yeah.
But like Ben, I like it, but I don't know if I love it quite as much as everyone else seems to. And I'm there for all of it. I'm there for the whole MCU. It's the MCU is one of my favorite TV shows. So because it's just ongoing story, but yeah, that's what it is for me.
Awesome. Well, I'm glad we got to start off the episode that way. I mean, I thought it'd be interesting because we have never really talked about it on a show. I mean, we were very DC centric, especially Batman, and I was like, I just wanted to find out what you guys thought about Spider-Man in general. So we're going to start off with taking a look at something that, of course, never happened to begin with, as all of our pieces are. But this is a movie that never happened, but we do have some visuals to go along with it. All right.
There it is.
So,
Unmade spider suits.
Nice,
yes,
man.
the unmade spider suits. And, of course, we were talking about, writing and how characters are portrayed in the films. But for this episode, we really are just going to be taking a look at what never happened. And, of course, if you feel like you want to rank it, or we can just give our thoughts, judging them purely on an aesthetic basis. So how we feel about the way they look and how that would have translated over to film. So we're going to start off with, here we go, the first Spider-Man movie that never happened, and that is the canon Spider-Man movie. So we may dive into this in a later episode a little bit deeper, but this was the first attempt to actually have Spider-Man on the big screen. And I think as I was reading, Canon bought the rights to Spider-Man. They were so, enthusiastic to get the film made that they bought the rights without actually having a script or a cast or anything like that. And they were already putting out advertisements like this without actually having a movie ready. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. These are real, not fan-made, just to clarify for the audience.
This is cool. Bob Hoskins is going to be in this shit?
Doc Ock?
I don't think so, no.
Okay. Mario himself?
I've seen a couple things. I don't think these are fan-made. There was a couple of them. But this is Scott Leva as Spider-Man, and we'll take a look at some pictures of him. He was not officially ever cast as Spider-Man, but he was a stuntman that actually posed for some photos of Spider-Man for this cover right here. So the cover on the right that we're looking at, that was an issue of Spider-Man, and I guess it was just the artist idea to do like something more realistic. So that's him actually posing as Peter Parker. So I think he was like in everybody's mind, at least when they started to promote the movie, that he was either going to play him or at least be the stunt person. So we've got some pictures of him posing as Spider-Man, and it's interesting to take a look at these because, this is a film that never got made. This was supposed to be like 1985, 86, but this really is like just a basic Spider-Man costume. This is very close to what we got in like the 60s Spider-Man show. I think the eyes are not mirrored. I mean, this is like, if Spider-Man showed up to a kid's birthday party, this is what you would expect. It is
true. Yeah.
Pretty much just a hyper-realistic interpretation of the comic costume. Like, you just assume that Spider-Man's wearing, like, spandex. So that's what he's wearing in these.
But it also just looks like the comic book come to life, too. I mean, let's be real. When
It
I look at
does.
these pictures, I'm just like, damn, all right, that is Peter Parker. That is Spider-Man.
Yeah, this poses are good,
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah, I really enjoy them. It definitely, like, stirs the imagination. I never had this specific issue as a kid or anything like that. I did collect Spider-Man along with Batman, but he looks to me like a realistic version of the 90s cartoon Spider-Man, which to me is like, he's just a little more buff, I guess, and that's kind of what I picture whenever I think of him. But these are some test shots of Scott Leva as Spider-Man / Peter Parker, and I really like the one to the far left where he's half Spider-Man and half Peter, and the Peter half has a little sweater vest on, glasses, and he's holding up a beaker, a little test tube beaker. Yes.
Classic Steve Ditko, Peter Parker.
Yeah. I like these shots of him opening his shirt, too. There's some shots of Scott as Peter Parker with like kind of a beige shirt, pulling it open, and it's got the Spider-Man costume underneath. So, I don't know. That's really cool to me. It is just like pure comic book. This is... It's kind of weird to think about. I feel like even in 1986, they would have come up with a slightly better costume, like one that was a little more cinematic.
Yeah, but also let's keep in mind this is canon. So for those who don't know, Canon is the company that kind of took over the Superman movies and gave us the gem of Superman 4, The Quest for Peace, that killed the Superman franchise. These guys were notoriously cheap. They also did the Captain America movie, not Captain America, the First Avenger, but the 1990 Captain America movie. So, like, the stuff here, it does look cool. It's interesting to think about. But if we're being realistic with Canon behind the camera, this would have just been the same type of stuff we talked about, like the 1990 Captain America,
You're right.
or the Roger Corman Fantastic Four. I doubt it would have been in the same breath as Superman 78 or Batman.
Yeah. My friend tried to show me the first Captain America movie one night, and I fell asleep. I like didn't even mean to, but I totally fell asleep about like a fourth of the way through. I was like, I have no idea what happened, but it was really boring. So I forgot about that, Ben. That stupid Captain America movie. So yeah, this most likely would have been not so great, and it died before it even truly lived because of Superman 4. So that was the death of the first Spider-Man movie. But it's interesting to take a look at what could have been our first on-screen Spider-Man.
Mm-hmm.
On the big screen, not the small screen.
This guy looks perfect, at least looks-wise. Who knows about how he would have acted in it compared to who we got later. But in terms of looks, this looks great.
Yeah. Yeah, it's very cool. I like it. Very comic booky. And this is a little like advertisement for the film as well.
Oh.
The legend comes alive. I see the gap
Spacing.
there. Yes.
Spacing's not
Spider-Man, the movie.
I don't think that was deliberate, though.
I mean, if I was of age at this time, I would have been really hyped for this, though, you know?
I would have, too.
Decent artwork for the time,
The
right?
director would have been the same as Captain America from 1990, though.
Yeah.
If it looks like at the bottom, but the art looks good.
It would have been probably a bad movie, but I would have seen it anyway. You know?
Yeah. We would
principal
be
photography.
covering this.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah,
right.
definitely.
Principal photography starts November 14th, so like they had this whole like
That's coming up.
press kit made before they started. That's interesting.
Yeah, they were really looking to, get it off the ground, but it died thanks to Superman 4.
It's interesting to think at this time, like this is post 78 Superman, before 89 Batman, and like this was a time, I mean, even after 89 Batman, to be honest, a little bit, like superhero movies were just not taken seriously. They, people just shat on them, and now look at us. You know, it's just crazy how far it's come.
Yeah, It is hard to imagine being in that time period now, but I don't know. This seems like it definitely would fit in with the Captain America movies. I would have rather seen a Spider-Man movie that fit in a little bit more with like Batman '89 and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, like that level of creativity and skill, like put into a movie of that time period. I think would have been really cool. But yeah, this does not look like it. So I'll just have to keep imagining that.
To me, what's interesting is that there's this period of time where the same company has Superman and Spider-Man.
Right, that's true.
Which seems weird now. But I'm sure if they took this out and they made this, maybe it wouldn't have been the best movie. But if it did actually end up doing well, we might have had a Superman and Spider-Man movie. Who knows?
That's crazy.
Bizarre.
Which would have been insane. Christopher Reeve's Superman versus Scott Leva's Spider-Man in an alternate universe. But who knows how that would have gone.
Yeah, I believe this is about the same time period that Marvel was going bankrupt.
Yeah.
If I'm remembering correctly, so they probably were trying to like make more money by selling the rights of Spider-Man to even this low budget film company, along with, Fantastic Four and Captain America and stuff like that. So it's weird now to think of a time when like Marvel needed this or like was just willing to do something like this to make money. Even now it's just like, it's Disney.
Powerhouse.
Yeah.
Yeah, Stan Lee was trying to do this for years and years and years, right?
Mm-hmm.
And like at least he finally saw his dream happen.
Yep.
Yeah.
In a big way.
Multiple times. Multiple interpretations of Spider-Man.
Multiple cameos.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, as we move on past the first Spider-Man movie that never was, we're going to look into the James Cameron Spider-Man movie, which...
oh, shit.
Unfortunately, there isn't really any concept art for the costume. So in my research, I had heard about this movie before. The main thing that I could remember was that the writers gave Dr. Octopus the catchphrase of "Okie dokie." He was constantly saying like "Okie dokie." Yeah, I've even read part of the script, and it is often that he is saying that. So it's kind of strange. But I don't know much else about it. I actually read a little bit whenever I was doing research for this, trying to see if there was some concept art. So the two things I pulled for this is, one, we have this beautiful illustration by Brian Stelfreeze, and that is actually not for this film specifically. It was done as the cover of Wizard, I think it was Wizard Magazine at one point.
Kind of a
but
what if. Yeah.
A what if thing because James Cameron... I think was thinking about Leonardo DiCaprio as Spider-Man.
Yeah.
But Green Goblin I don't think he was part of the original script.
No, I think it was Doc Ock, and the rumors were...
Electro and Sandman?
Electro and Sandman, I think, was in the script, and I think there were rumors of Doc Ock with Cameron trying to get Arnold on there, but I don't know how true that is.
I have read that too. Yeah, so it's kind of bizarre, but
Arnold's new catchphrase is "Okie dokie."
Okie dokie.
Actually, he could probably sell it. At least a little bit.
He could say anything, and he'd be chomping on them cigars and everything, just like Alfred Molina did. So,
stogie.
Go for it. But it is a really beautiful piece of artwork. I've seen some fan-made like fake posters for the movie using it, but of course it never was anything official. But I do like it as a view of kind of like what if, and I love seeing like the half Spider-Man, half Peter Parker from the comics.
It's classic.
And I did pull some images from the storyboard. Apparently, I think it was the first third of the movie was turned into storyboards. It was already being planned out in storyboards. So this is really kind of what we get as far as any kind of artistic interpretation of Cameron's Spider-Man, which I think is interesting because he looks like he has web shooters on his wrist. But from what I read, it was James Cameron's idea to make Spider-Man's webbing organic before Sam Raimi. So I don't know if this was like from some earlier storyboards or the artist just thought to put those on him. He looks like he's got little web shooters on his wrist, but otherwise kind of a standard Spider-Man.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like the top storyboard we have here where he's shirtless. Those might be organic, but the ones, maybe they're just gauntlets that are on the suit now since his stuff is organic. I don't know.
Maybe, yeah.
But it looks like they're organic, at least in the first photo with that very Chris Evans looking Peter Parker.
Yeah.
At the top. So, and then we have these other storyboards here of looks like Spider-Man has a crook holding him up by the lapels, because that's what you do when you're a superhero, stopping a crook.
That's right.
And he's got his other arm cocked back to punch him.
Mm-hmm.
And then I don't know what's going on in this last one where it's just like Spider-Man looks like he's about to snap his fingers.
He's getting in a jazz band. Or
Pre-Spider-Man
West Side Story
jazz.
Spider-Man.
He's going to be doing jazz stuff, yeah.
Yeah, I like his little circular eyes. It does kind of remind me of the 60s Spider-Man costume.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Like I can imagine those little mirrored lenses on it and stuff, but it's very interesting. I do definitely recommend that, our listeners do look into that. Maybe we'll do a deep dive someday of James Cameron's Spider-Man, or maybe some other what-ifs as far as Spider-Man movies that never got made, but it's definitely some interesting history in there. But that's really all I could find. There wasn't any concept art to speak of the film. At least it's been released.
Yeah. Yeah, well, maybe we'll end up seeing more. We'll see.
I don't know if they ever got that far, did they? I mean, they might have been canned kind of early on.
I don't know. There was a couple scripts or different scripts written for it, so I don't know. I'd be interested to see. I just like to think that somebody did.
I mean, it'd be cool if it was out there, and if it is, let us know. But it might have just gotten like picked up by every magazine in the universe at the time because it's James Cameron. But it might it might not have gotten that far. You never know.
Yeah, that's true. Well, other than James Cameron's film, we are going to start diving in a little bit deeper into the best Spider-Man movie, and that is Sam Raimi's first Spider-Man film, Spider-Man 2002.
You like the first one the most?
Well, yes. Okay. I can argue. I can say that Spider-Man 2 is the best film. I know that. And I love it, but I love Willem Dafoe as the Green Goblin. So, like, the first Spider-Man movie is definitely my favorite. Something about it. It's just, it's so, I don't know, archetypical, or I guess like kind of like your standard hero story that it's, I guess it could be a little bit hokey. Spider-Man 2 definitely has like a better arc and everything for Peter, but I don't know. I love Willem, so you got to stick with that.
I mean, I personally, when watching both, I mean, I do think they're both really good, but between the two, I'm kind of on your side too, Zach, when it comes to just slightly preferring the first one, because I feel like Green Goblin is so well integrated into Peter's story, and with Spider-Man 2, you could almost take Doc Ock out of a lot of it, and a lot of the drama that Peter's going through is still very like relevant. And stuff. Doc Ock is almost in a completely different movie for most of it until he
it's kind of
shows up.
His Doc Ock's like motivation is his arc feels a little parallel to Peter's for most of the movie, and then they like come to blows like a few times, but yeah, it seems like they are kind of separate for most of the movie as far as like what their objectives are.
Yeah, and it is cool though to see like this triumph of Spider-Man 2, I think, is still the idea that like I really care about this guy getting together with this girl and getting his life together, and I don't really care as much about him fighting the villain, and that's unique, I think, about that specific superhero movie, because it's tough to pull that off because most people are there for the superheroics, but then Raimi surprises you, gives you all the drama, and you care about that stuff a lot more.
Yeah, I think Doc Ock is again like a great supervillain. I feel like he's just a little bit more layered, a little bit more than the Green Goblin. I mean, Green Goblin, I admit, I love him, but he is kind of like a lot of times like a one-note villain. Like he is the like archetypical like cackling like evil villain, but I love him for that. Yeah. And I enjoyed in the second Spider-Man film like how humanizing they made Dr. Octopus, because for me, I remembered him from the cartoon series, and he was also kind of like one note for the most part. Like he just always came off to me as just a bad guy, like not really any, anything to empathize with. But in the movie, I mean, he's fantastic. Like I can understand his motivations, and I feel bad for him. And I like that he has a little bit of a heroic, turn at the end. So that was, I think, one of the best decisions they made for the film.
Yeah, I think so too. Hopefully they don't fuck that up when he comes back in No Way Home.
I don't think so. I've got my own theories, but we'll hold on to that.
Okay.
So what we're looking at here is a lot of the artwork is going to be from, it's either Teves Design Studio. I've never heard it pronounced.
This guy did some of the Batman and Robin concept art we looked at.
Yeah, that is right. So we're going to look at a lot of his concept artwork. There is somebody different that did this artwork right here for the web shooters, but now it's too small and I can't remember the name. You guys might be able to see it, but this was back when originally they were thinking about doing web shooters for Peter rather than having them be organic. So it's kind of an interesting look, and it's kind of cool to see like the red glove kind of like split on Peter's forearms. So that's kind of an interesting design.
Says Jay Carson as the guy.
Jay Parson?
Carson.
All right. Well, good old
S-O-N, yeah.
Yeah, good old Jay. Look at him. He's moving on up in the world. But he did he did this concept art on the left. I think the rest of it's going to be this Tevis artwork. But all the Spider-Men that he draws look pretty comic book accurate. They are starting to look a little bit more, I guess what I would say is cinematic, where they're just a little bit more polished looking. Like it doesn't just look like a spandex like birthday party costume that somebody slipped on. Like there is some depth.
Yeah, that's true.
To the costume. So this is our first look. I mean, what do you guys think about this first concept art for Spider-Man from 2002?
Well, this guy definitely is the guy you hire for very anatomically correct superhero suits on that. This Spider-Man has definitely been dehydrated for a couple days.
He's show ready.
He is show ready for his show. On that, every sinew is visible through the suit and stuff. So, but
go on.
Other than that,
tell me more, Ben.
It is exactly what I think Zack said, where it is not feeling like it's just, they just got something from Party City and put a dude in.
Yeah.
There is something layered to it, and I think the challenge sometimes of a Spider-Man suit is how do you make this something that looks a little better than that while also still being kind of realistic that this is something that he made. If I have if there's any criticism I might have on the Raimi Spider-Man suit, it's like, really, this Peter sewed that is the part of the thing, but it's a very small gripe. It looks great in the movie and stuff, but I think that's kind of the challenge sometimes, is how do you make it look good but not so good that you're just like like how is he able to do that, which is kind of why I didn't mind it when Tony Stark gave him the classic suit in Civil War, because I'm just like, that makes sense. Maybe they got a little too out of hand later on with how much of his suits were coming from Tony Stark, but the first time they did it, I'm just like, okay, this makes sense in this continuity. So I was down for that stuff. So
I agree with that, Ben. I've seen some cosplay of the Raimi Spider-Man, and that webbing is like constantly falling off of people's costumes. Like, and I know they had to do that on film too. They had to constantly like re-glue that stuff, and I just don't think Peter's got the time for that.
No, he doesn't. That stuff would all be falling off, and he would have no webbing at all.
Yeah.
But realistically, he would just be struggling with that the whole time. But it is like the iconography of the Raimi Spider-Man suit is that raised silver webbing and stuff.
Yeah,
and it looks really
definitely
cool and stuff. But is it practical? Not at all. But
Auntie
anyway,
Andrew,
that's a long way to say I like this.
I like it. I like this too. It's cool. I think I just don't like the spider. I don't know. I want something. I'd like to see some other passes at that. Maybe
it does kind of look like it's blending into the webbing, doesn't it?
Yeah, it looks like it's on. I guess
hidden,
the legs are on the web. So
yeah,
I get it. I guess, but I don't know. I'd like. It's like the only thing I don't like. I like the rest of it. I do like the forearm thing.
Yeah, the forearm thing's interesting. Where I know, like in the classic Spider-Man costume, it is like a flat line, like a glove. Then he's got the line going up to his shoulder. This one kind of incorporates like this whole V shape on his belt, or his. I say it's the belt, but like where the red stops at his waist is creating a V, and then there's kind of like the blue of the sleeve is creating a V into his glove. So yeah, it's kind of an interesting motif, I guess, as far as those shapes, but yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah, it's good overall, I think.
Nice.
And here we have a little more, I would say, odd Spider-Man costumes. These still look very classic, still for the first Raimi film, but the unique thing about these is it has raised webbing on the blue part of the costume, which is bizarre, and I have never seen it again. I do like that the one on the right has actual like rounded webs on the kneecaps, which is crazy. So for these and the viewers or the listeners on the podcast, they don't have silver webbing on them. It just is like raised up of the same colors. So like the red part of the costume and the blue part of the costume looks like it has raised webbing texture on it, but it is the same color as the surface under it. So it's kind of unique in that aspect.
Mm-hmm. It also looks like the spider on his chest. They like compensated for what Andrew was criticizing, because now it's huge and like raised and almost looks like a spider has like latched onto his chest.
Yeah, like a fat spider with long legs.
This is too much. I don't like this. I like these suits are okay, but again, the spider's a little off, I think.
Yeah, they went overboard with the spider here. It feels like the Scarab from Blue Beetle at this
point.
Yeah. It's like it's lashed onto him. I'm like, let's tone it down a little bit, make it part of the thing. I don't want to feel like there's a bug on him. He just needs to have. It
is
symbol.
like a fat, round, like spider body too. It's not flat, so. Yeah, that is. I think the webbing is strange.
The webbing on the blue makes it a little too busy for me. I think it's kind of cool to see, but it's worthy of an experiment. But overall, I'm glad they didn't go with it.
It's not as fun, for sure. It's too serious or something. Like, this is the, like, Arkham Knight of Spider-Man, you know? It's
I
just,
think
you need to get your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man back in this.
Yeah.
You know? Not this.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's kind of falling into that same thing that we talk about as far as, like, the X-Men movies and some of the Dark Knight bat suits, where there's a little bit of a tendency for people to over-design it, or like, okay, this is the first time this costume is going to be on film, so I've got to incorporate like some unique textures, because this can't just be, spandex or like silk or something like that. So I get it. It is like you said, Ben, I think it's an interesting experiment. But yeah, just it does look a little darker or something. Kind of like what Andrew said, yeah.
The one on the left, too, looks like the legs are blending into the boots as well, right?
Yeah, the red is like kind of ombreing up to the navy blue. It's like that is an interesting choice, too, which we will see later as well. I don't know if you guys can see it on your screen, but the one on the left, I would say the blue is like a navy blue with like almost like a magenta-ish red, but the one on the right is like a deep fire truck red and like a little bit more like a traditional like dark blue. So it's just interesting to me,
Right.
like him even experimenting with those like classic colors. But
Yeah.
yeah, the one on the right reminds me a little bit more of like a cinematic one for some reason, or like something I would see
Yeah.
at Universal Studios.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, some nice Spidey costumes still. We haven't ranked any of these.
Are we ranking them, or are we just showing them off?
What? We'll just
I mean,
do
these have
whatever
been
you want
pretty
to do.
good. I'd say most of these would get like at the lowest, like a A-, B+.
Yeah,
Yeah.
none
These
of
are
them have
pretty
been
much
truly
Spider-Man.
bad.
There's nothing
Yeah,
that we
you,
look and just like, Psh, that's what we thought for Spider-Man. There's no Justice League, Mortal
yeah.
Batman type thing so far.
Hold on to your hats, Ben. There is some coming
I'm
up.
looking forward to it.
You spoke too
I think there
soon.
is definitely one goose
That's why I s-
egg, and
That's why I said
Oh,
so
I'll let
long.
you
can't
decide
wait for the
which one
goose
that
egg.
is. I'll let you see if
suppose
you
we'll
can
know when we
guess
see
as
it.
we go along. All right,
Yeah.
so
All right.
this is still our first Spidey costumes, for Sam Raimi's first Spider-Man film. This is something I pulled, and it's an interesting screen test. This is from the special features for the first Spider-Man movie, and you can see they were testing out the eye shapes on the mask, and I swear to God, his face looks like it's more raised up, like there is a, like I know that in the movies there's like a hardened shell under the fabric of the mask to raise it up off of his nose a little bit, but this looks like it's super raised up off of his face, and the eyes look really low, and they're big, and they're a slightly different shape. So it's interesting to look at. It is a screen test. There's no spider on the chest,
Yeah. I noticed that
so it's
too.
just kind of like a, there's kind of just like a look as what could have happened as far as his face goes. But I'm luckily this was not the direction they went in.
Yeah.
Other than that,
do
just
like
kind of a
the-
unique look.
Yeah, I do like the sort of the mirrored lenses look a little more in the movie compared to what we got here. With it, it just looks like there's white construction paper over his eyes in this.
Yeah, it's something cheap about the eyes, but
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, they definitely were trying to figure it out. They just hadn't gotten there quite yet.
Yeah.
Yes, his head just looks big too. It looks like just
It's almost like it's almost like they went overboard with just like we can't have it touch his face at all, and so there's almost it's like the Halloween mask under it or whatever, and they covered that up. It doesn't really touch his face or something. So it's a weird thing. Once you brought that up, Zach, I can kind of see that.
Yeah, if you saw this special feature, when you see his head turned to the side, it looks like enormous. I think they even built like a piece on the back of the head. Like, I don't know if they were trying to make it more comic book like, but his head looks so disproportionate to his body. Like, I don't know why they were thinking about that, but again, it did not end up happening. So that's good for us.
So like, so this is on the
now
lower
we're
end.
getting to. Yes, that would. If I was to give this one, it'd be like a C. I mean, maybe a D. Just
I guess,
that
yeah,
head
C+.
itself is just kind of derpy. Yeah, a C plus. He's not terrible. We're getting to the good shit now. So Alex Ross was hired. We all know who Alex Ross
That's
is.
cool.
Famous comic book artist. He was hired to do some concept art for the Spider-Man film and to design Spidey's new look. And if you, were my age or younger or older like Andrew, and you played the video game for the first Spider-Man movie, there are some cheats. Or if you beat the whole game, you can open up some different cheats, and you can actually play in the Alex Ross Spider-Man costume, which is kind of cool. Like you
This
can
is
go
on
back and play the
PS1?
game in different levels. Yeah.
PS1 game? Okay.
Well, maybe
I probably played it, I
PlayStation
don't
2,
remember.
I think, maybe.
PS2? Okay.
Yeah. But I just think it's really awesome. Now, the illustrations that we're looking at right here are in black and white. You do see a little bit of color, like that he was illustrating the lenses on the eyes down on the bottom left. We'll look at another one, too, where it is full color. But I don't know. This is it's really cool to me. It's not the classic Spider-Man costume for our listeners. It is kind of like a black bodysuit with the webbing pattern, the webbing part of his costume, only on the head, the shoulders, and coming down into a point on his chest with a big spider on it. And he's got some web shooters, kind of like big gauntlets, white. I'm sorry, not white, but just like is probably going to be red, like a triangular pattern on his back of his hand, and he's got some black mirrored lenses. So he's, definitely a different Spider-Man look than what we're used to.
Yeah. The spider is humongous as well.
It's
It's just not the move for your first Spider-Man outing, right? I mean, you got to go classic, at least for the first one.
This almost feels
so.
like it would have. I'm not saying that they should have gone with this instead of what they did for Amazing Spider-Man, but it almost feels like it would have fit that universe more with the darker direction and stuff. Because when I look at this at first glance, I'm just like, there's too much black or too much blue for me on this. It's just too much on it. And I felt this way too with the Batman Year One, or the supposed Batman Year One concept art, when there was that one with that V where his sides are dark and only the sides are dark. It looks like he's wearing a corset.
It's true. Yeah. It's not flattering at all, really.
It looks better here than in the Batman one, but it's still there's once you point that out or think about that, you can't unsee it. So there's that aspect. I do like that he did try to incorporate the webs in the armpits, which is something from the Ditko comics.
Oh, yeah, his little, his cape, his webbing in between his arms,
Yeah, which I thought was really cool that they incorporated that in Homecoming. They found a way to do that.
Yes.
In the MCU movies. So it's cool that they try to do it here, but it's not really that necessary. It's just kind of a cool addition,
Yeah,
it's
kind of like a cool visual motif.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, this is.
it's cool though.
I don't know. It's interesting. I do like it, but I agree with Andrew. I don't think it's what they should have done for Spider-Man's first outing on film. But I don't know. There's something about it I really like. I think it's just kind of a cool alternate Spider-Man costume. We will look at some images of it in color. It is black and red. There is no blue incorporated, so that's also kind of I guess goes against the traditional Spider-Man costume. But yeah, it's just I kind of like the simple look. There's something about it. It's kind of like it reminds me of the Ben Reilly Spider-Man costume. Something about it. I think it's the gauntlets on his wrist. But here we can see there is some more refined versions of what we saw in the sketchbook, and then the one to the far right would be in color. And I think Ben, you're thinking of those mirrored lenses, or maybe it was Andrew who was thinking it was more appropriate for the Amazing Spider-Man movie. That does remind me of his lenses a little bit from the first one.
I guess so, yeah, a little bit on that. I was more thinking that it would have been appropriate just because of the amount of black and the dark take they were going with that.
Oh yeah, it would make sense. I mean, for Garfield's, right?
Yeah,
it makes sense for that one, but for this,
I don't really see Tobey in this.
Yeah, this is just, I don't know. This is a D.
A D.
D.
Oh shit!
I love Alex Ross. He's great. This drawing, the drawing's cool in and of itself, but as a the direction to go in for your first big Spidey movie, it's a D.
What if it wasn't the?
What
first
about
one?
just on its own? Yeah.
On its own,
it's
C plus.
Oof.
I don't. I like the other designs we've seen. I don't like this. The black here or the blue.
I agree with that part on that. I don't know if I would rate it as low as a D, but I guess maybe B minus at the lowest. It still works, but it's not. Again, I agree. It's not at all where I would go with in the Spider-Man one. But as a suit itself, I don't hate it.
I am shocked. I just thought Alex Ross would be the end-all be-all up here, but I agree.
I mean, he's
objectively,
great,
if we look at it, how, not as far as his artistic ability, but just the concept itself of the costume, the overall design. So, interesting to see how it affects you guys, what your opinions are. It's funny you said you never would have pictured Tobey in this because we'll look at it next
now.
There is actually a picture. Nobody knows where it's from. We'll look at that one first. I couldn't. Apparently, this is from the Spider-Man 2 set. I don't know why this exists. What is going on with the guy wearing this costume?
It's not a cosplayer who found the costume and is like, hey.
I don't know.
Copycat Spider-Man, like the copycat Batman.
I don't know. I couldn't
see pads.
I couldn't figure out where this came from, even when I found this image when I was looking at Alex Ross's designs. But yeah, the costume was actually created. I guess some stunt person's wearing it, but it doesn't look as cinematically flattering in real life as it does in that illustration. I mean, look at the one on the left.
Proves Andrew's point. Yeah.
And look at the one on the right. Yeah, it's again, an interesting footnote and an interesting idea of what could have been, but something about it doesn't quite translate.
It looks cool in an Alex Ross Spider-Man comic.
Oh yeah,
I think. And if you're adapting that specific comic, then this is perfect for that. But if it's just like, no, this is the main Spider-Man thing, then it's I can see even more now where I'm just like, this is even more of a reason why it was good they didn't do this.
Yeah, it's terrible.
I don't know.
Shit.
I mean, honestly, like
Go
ahead, Ben.
There's something really awful with those web shooters.
Yeah,
like they look like they were glued on.
This
like
is a
foam
Sony
pieces that were glued on.
This is going to be
This one
Tobey
I think might
Maguire's
be a
fucking
cosplayer.
Spider-Man. Okay, I hope so.
Okay, yeah, because I'm just like, this seems more like, how do we know this is actually from the set?
And the black lenses too. Like, what's going on?
This
here?
one looks, I think, like it might actually be a little more real, but this one is definitely a cosplayer. But it's kind of cool to see it in real life.
Yeah. Okay. For cosplayers, I didn't mean to shit on you. I just thought like this was the actual one for the movie. In the case of cosplayer, sure, it's great. But
I should have put the other picture
movie,
first.
for the actual movie, I'm just like those. There's one thing about, again, as I was saying, like you have to make it seem like he made this, but not make it look super cheap. And this is a little bit towards the other way, where I'm just like, okay, that just looks like you just found a bunch of plastic red foam and just glued it onto your wrists on that, which is likely what this cosplayer did, and that's fine for cosplay, but for the actual movie, not so much.
Multi-million-dollar tentpole Sony picture, Right. Yeah, it's a big deal.
I will say, when we get to the point where we're looking at some of the designs from Far From Home, I do see some of these same elements repeated, kind of like the black and the red. So
he is in the black and red at the end of that movie.
Yeah, so it'll be interesting to kind of take a look, just to think about. Yeah, he does have a black and red suit near the end. And here is some interesting concept art where they were basically toying with the idea that Spider-Man's mask, which I said was a shell under the fabric, this would have actually been a shell in the movie, like kind of like a hard surface where Peter could open it from the center. Like he could actually like open the mask.
Weird.
I don't know if it would have been translucent too. Like this looks here, if you look closely, you can see Peter's face just a little bit through the mask. It's not a so for the people listening, imagine if Spider-Man's costume was made of a Jolly Rancher. So like a red Jolly Rancher candy, that's Spider-Man's costume. It's hard plastic, and he's just clipping that shit over himself. So that's Spider-Man's costume in this picture.
Glad they didn't go with this either.
Yeah.
like why would it have any advantage for us to be able to kind of see his face through the thing?
Yeah.
Like, there's no advantage to that at all.
And to think that again, Peter made this costume. So did Peter get a bunch of red Jolly Ranchers and just swish them around in his mouth, and he molded them
really
into a plastic helmet? Yeah. I don't know exactly how that would have worked.
I know you guys are making fun. I know it's like a point of contention, but like he's supposed to be like a boy genius type, and I don't know. I let that slide. If he could make, I'd let Peter Parker be able to make a movie type costume. It's fine.
This is the
he
same
sewed
kid
in the original comics, right?
He does with the web shooters, but I'm also just like the translucent suit.
I wouldn't do translucent, but just the general idea of him, he sews his own suit, but then it looks like a movie suit, but it's like, it's just one of those things you got to let go, I think.
This is the same kid, though, that was like, he was going to go wrestle Bonesaw for $3,000 to get a car to impress Mary Jane. Where is he getting the supplies to make this stuff?
Tony Stark.
Aunt May's closet? Aunt May in the attic?
He finds a way, man. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, there is a balance, though, in terms of like that. You do bring up a good point. He is a genius, so for him to come up with something is not too much out of the realm of possibility because this
Yeah.
kid does come up with the web shooters.
He comes up with web shooters that obviously work really well until they run out. So, I mean, we're dealing with a level of fantasy with basically his level of intellect. So, I mean, sure, there's genius kids, but, you know, this kind of thing, it really is on the fantasy side, right? So I don't know. I kind of lump all that together in my head. I just kind of let it go.
Do you think
You know,
Spider-Man in the
it's
first
like Batman's
movie?
chin being exposed. You know, you just gotta let it go.
Well, do you think Spider-Man in the first movie seems less scientifically adept because he has organic webbing? Like he doesn't have to create anything? I know that in the second one he's like talking to Dr. Otto Octavius. Dotto.
Okie dokie.
Okie dokie. Yeah. He's talking to him and he's like talking to him about like what he's working on. He's like, oh, so you understand it. But do we have a moment like that in the first Spider-Man movie where he's, you know, shown to be like
a little bit in the beginning when they're doing the tour? He knows some stuff, but it's not. It doesn't seem like it's genius intellect. It just seems like he's a kid who's read a lot on that. But
yeah.
Again, he's like a senior in high school at the same time, so it's like
as far as applying it to creating something. Yeah, I think that's something to think about because of the whole web shooter thing. It's kind of like
were a huge point of contention at that time.
Yeah.
If you remember the lead up to that, there was the whole petition of just like you can't have organic web shooters. You're going to turn them into some sort of mutant type of thing. And now we're gonna, people were saying like we're going to get rubber nipples again on the bat suit. It's the same thing with organic web shooters. And then obviously, clearly, it wasn't the same thing at all.
What if he shot the webbing out of his nipples?
Clear this up for me. The comics had never done organic. Ever?
No, it was
They
always
had.
stuff that he built in, I'm
Ultimate
talking just about the
Spider-Man.
origin. In the origin, in the regular continuity, it was stuff that he created. But then, as Zack said, I think the Ultimate Spider-Man has them.
Yeah, that was
Ultimate
the first
Universe
time
is organic.
Yeah.
Probably because it might have been inspired by Cameron. They might have thought
I
Cameron's coming up
wonder.
with this movie, and so you got to put this in so it lines up. That type of thing.
They plant these things, right? Like it was also they made Nick Fury black in anticipation for that casting, I think, because that was well ahead of Samuel L. Jackson. So you know what I mean? So that's just so like fans across the universe can be like, well, it is in the comics.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, they put it in there so you'd be saying that.
Yeah.
It's Inception, bro.
They're wily.
Plant it in your
Hollywood Inception.
Plant it in your head. That's part of the comics.
It's the Mandela effect in the comic universe. Well, this hard candy shell did not come to be, thank goodness. What would you give this? What would you rank it, Ben?
I give this an E.
Ooh.
Pretty low.
Auntie Andrew, what do you rate it?
Shape-wise, it's good, but
yeah.
it's just the being translucent is stupid as fuck.
Yeah.
So
That's why I gave it an E.
yeah, it really takes a dive because of that. If it was not translucent, I don't know. I don't mind him. I mean, if it's hard to, maybe he feels like he protects his head. I don't know what the fuck they were thinking, but if he falls down from web slinging or whatever across buildings. So I kind of get it, even though it's not traditional. But if it being translucent, it's like an E or an F. It's terrible. It's almost Goose Egg territory.
Ooh, not you don't even know, Andrew. You don't know.
Okay, I guess we're gonna see.
Wait.
You need the fucking you need to cover. He needs to have that full face mask. That's Spider-Man, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I also really love, not really the homemade feel, but just whenever he takes the mask off, which happens in every fucking movie, like towards the end that I've ranted about before on here. But like whenever he takes it off, like there's like an almost homemade feel to when he has the mask in his hands.
Right.
I don't know how Spider-Man would breathe.
Yeah, you lose that when it's like a tech thing that like splits up to reveal his face each time, where it's like an Iron Man type of thing. I'm like, no, I don't need that shit. Just have him just take it off like it's an actual hood thing, like a regular mask.
Imagine it is hard plastic. How's he breathing in this? And then if Spider-Man farts, it's like trapped in there with him.
Really holds it.
The whole suit is hard plastic or some sort of silicone or jelly phthalate suit. I don't know. This is
He can't turn his head.
He'll have new
I'm
complaints
a-
to that dude in the elevator from Spider-Man 2. It's
That's
it rides
right.
up on the crotch a bit, and it seals in all my farts.
Yes, I would say I would give it a D. I don't know. I think it's not that bad. I think the translucent thing would be cool for an action figure, but other than that, it is kind of like a weird idea. And yes, it does look like the classic Spider-Man, but yep, not a winner, thank goodness.
An action figure or a Tony Stark suit in the MCU and some mission where for some reason it has to be like that. But for this Spider-Man movie, no. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you know what? I think this is a good time to take a friendly neighborhood break.
Lord have mercy, y'all. Do you like hounds? Do you enjoy pooches? Do you find yourself enjoying time spent with that of canines? Talking about dogs, y'all.
As you might have heard, Superhero Stuff You Should Know has now teamed up with BarkBox. For every month, you get a box for your special canine.
Pooches.
Or hounds.
That's right, one free extra month if you go to barkbox.com/superherostuffpod.
Follow the link and you'll get a free extra month valued at $35 and valid for all multi-length plans.
So get the BarkBox for your hound, for your pooch, for your canine.
Your doggo will thank you.
And we're back with your old Uncle Gobby, Uncle Ben, and his rice, and Auntie Andy are all back to talk about the unused Spider-Man costumes from the cinematic universe.
Oh, shit.
All right,
Cinematic multiverse.
Cinematic
Spider-Man.
multiverse. That's right.
That's true.
We've been having a good time taking a look at, costumes that never made it on screen, and we are still continuing to look at some concept art from Sam Raimi's first Spider-Man film. And this one was very interesting, and we talked about earlier how one of the designs had almost an ombre where the red blended into the blue of Spider-Man's costume, and that's kind of what I see here in some elements of it.
Yeah, one on the left, right?
Yeah, this is like a full turned body. It seems like the shins are blended, but the calves have a sharp line.
So Zach, you're an art teacher, so you know these terms, but so ombre is essentially a type of color blending.
Yeah. Like if you just saw like a soft transition from one color to the next, it would be.
Right.
It's a lot of times referred to as an ombre or an ombre effect.
Okay, got it.
Yeah. For those laymen out there, those smooth brains.
I'm a smooth brain layman over here.
My biggest reaction to this is, where the hell is the spider?
That's true, yeah.
On the chest.
It's on the
Now,
You
back.
don't need it.
You
You
can
gotta
kinda
turn
see it,
around
though.
and see it.
You have to squint really, really hard to see it on the chest of what
yeah.
we're looking at. It's there.
That's true. It's
but
super small.
It's the same thing with the Spider-Man insignia on the chest. Is the same thing with Batman insignia to me, where I'm just like, what the hell's the point if you can't see it?
True.
So
You
and then
can't
it
see
looks
those buns of steel, though.
He's got them tight back there. Good
Yeah.
Lord.
yes.
He's clenched.
You're here
There is
for this
that comment in
commentary.
the first Spider-Man movie. That woman is all obsessed with his butt being in that suit.
Oh, yeah.
I forgot about that.
Yep. It's right before Lucy Lawless comes on.
Huh. I gotta go back and watch it again now. Good excuse to watch it. Oh, I know. It's the little, it's like the transitions
montage of the
of all the people saying things, yeah.
He stinks and I don't like him.
He stinks and I don't like him. That's my favorite part. But this to me is like, it's pretty close to the traditional Spider-Man costume, other than the blending of the red and blue and the almost invisible spider on the front of the chest. The one on the back actually looks pretty similar to the Raimi Spider-Man costume back. It's not. I always, as a kid, thought the comic book Spider-Man's back looked like a tick. It was just like round.
Yeah,
with
it's
little
true.
legs.
It's true.
I
It does look like a
always
tick.
thought that as a kid because ticks have, one part to their body, and spiders have two parts to their body. I was like, that's a tick. But this is very close to that Raimi back spider, which is kind of interesting how they decided to redesign that from the get-go.
Mm-hmm. Another thing I noticed is he kind of has Bob Ringwood Batman costume abs.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
true.
The abs
That's
are
true.
very pronounced in this.
Toby's been working out.
Yeah, definitely.
He just
It
got
absolutely
bit.
looked like that in the movie.
Well, he just got bit by a spider and fell asleep, and then he woke up and he was ripped.
Yeah.
He didn't need glasses anymore either.
It goes right through the costume too.
Mm-hmm. He worked out for that one scene.
He must have done quite a lot of work for that one scene. That's true.
Because I heard it's CG before he goes to bed when you see how his
Yeah.
like, scrawny body and stuff. His actual
Mhm.
body
Oh,
is the
yeah.
one when he wakes up.
It's like Skinny Steve and Captain
Yeah,
America.
Captain America.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
Forgot about that.
I think he was in pretty good shape for that first one because I know he did
he
a lot
was,
of like stunts for like different screen tests and stuff. Like when he was fighting the guys in the alley before he kisses Mary Jane, it was like some choreography for that scene.
Mhm.
I mean, he was in pretty good shape for that. So
Yeah.
we'll see if he's gotten in
Definitely.
shape for a possible new appearance.
We'll see.
Probably not.
He's gonna be out of shape,
They'll
Spider-Man.
CG it.
He's gonna have those rubber abs and pecs and nipples going on.
Just copy and paste from the first movie. I'll show up for a half day and send me my paycheck, direct deposit.
What would you give this? What do you want to rank it?
C minus. I don't
Yeah.
like
Whoa,
the,
that low.
I don't like the invisible spider, and the ab thing is weird on a Spider-Man outfit. On a bat suit, I'm okay with it, but when it's like supposed to be kind of spandexy and stuff,
Yeah, I see.
it seems out of place.
Yeah.
So I don't love the ab part and it definitely needs a chest spider, but I don't absolutely hate it. It's like a B minus, I guess. I don't know.
I give it a C as well. It's okay. I did want to point out too. This is one of the few designs that has the red also have a stripe on the sides of his leg going up to the spider
cool.
belt. So it's kind of continuing the motif from his arms onto the leg.
It was kind of hard to see where his
because of his hand
starts and where his hand ends.
Yeah, you can see it, just a hint of it on the sides right here. But yeah, it's kind of an interesting continuation.
That works for me. I like that.
Yeah. This was there wasn't a lot of concept art of like any new costumes for Spider-Man 2, so I just kind of tossed this one in here. The one on the right is just some concept art from Spider-Man 2, which is those of us that have seen it know it's like from the final scene of the movie when he's swooping out of there and Mary Jane's standing in his apartment and everything like that, jumping off into the sunset. But it's just some cool to see that concept art. I mean, Spider-Man's costume, I will say, like, it has very little changes from one movie to the next in
That's
the Raimi
true.
films. Other than being black in Spider-Man 3, I have seen some special features for Spider-Man 2, and it's very, very minor, like, adjustments. I mean, I think they made it slightly more vibrant, the blue and the red, and I think that they used a different technique to print the pattern. There's not a web pattern, I'm saying. It's almost like defined muscle textures. There is like printed highlights on the costume, highlights and lowlights. So if you ever look at like Henry Cavill's Superman costume, I think his in Justice League or maybe in Batman versus Superman, it has like almost printed muscular definition onto the blue of the suit. So it's not a flat blue. So I think that was one of the changes they made for Spider-Man 2, but there's some cool Spidey, concept art right there. And this Spider-Man concept art on the left, I think was done as a promotional piece for the first film. I love it. It's really cool. I think I've seen a sticker like this that I had as a kid from Pizza Hut. I mean, it's a really cool like image of Spider-Man. I think it's neat that it looks like a classic Spider-Man costume, but the webbing is red and just like slightly raised up on his suit. It looks like it's either red or translucent, so it's kind of neat just to see it, 3D. But
He's also been hitting the gym a little bit more.
oh yeah,
This one, yeah.
he's pumped. This
Down
to
in
me
those
is
protein shakes in between
Yeah.
delivering pizzas.
It looks like it's pretty Batman-esque because it's got a gargoyle and
Yeah.
top of a
Yeah.
building,
Yeah.
moon, all yeah, you know.
Yeah, it reminds me of the animated series a lot. The Spider-Man animated
Oh, yeah.
series. Something about it. I can
Yeah.
hear that guitar riff right now looking at it.
Exactly. It feels very 90s Spider-Man.
Yeah,
Is that show on Disney Plus, by the way?
It
it
is.
is. I've been watching it
I've been watching
every night. Yeah.
Well, goddamn.
Need to get on that, Andrew.
I guess so. It's been a long time.
Rewatch that Kingpin moment.
I when you guys stumble across it, you'll laugh.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah. Okay, yeah. That blew my mind, dude.
Yep, that is why I am the Kingpin.
Yeah.
Still
He
the voice I
wins no
hear when I
matter
read
what.
Kingpin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Man, as a kid, I was so confused when I saw the movie Daredevil. I was like, wait a minute, Kingpin's a Spider-Man villain. That's like all I could think of because he literally is like got his little pudgy hands in every single problem going on in Spider-Man's life in the animated series. Like he's behind everything. But then, when I saw the Daredevil movie, I was like, why is he a Daredevil bad guy?
And we still haven't seen them face off in live action. At least not yet.
Oh, yeah. That's
Well, on
true.
TV, right? The
Live
Netflix
action TV?
series. Yeah. Oh, you mean Spider-Man
There's
and
no Spider-Man
Kingpin.
Netflix series. though.
I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I thought you were talking about Daredevil and Kingpin. Yeah,
Oh,
we
no,
haven't
no.
seen...
Like, Kingpin's definitely been established.
He's
in the
incredible.
Daredevil adaptations. Yeah.
Yes.
That first season of Daredevil especially is like, holy fuck, dude.
It is
You
good.
know,
That
it
is the
was so good.
scariest version of Kingpin I have ever
Yeah.
seen.
Yeah.
Yeah,
D'Onofrio's great.
he's so good. He owned that role, man.
Yep. Well, let's take a look at everyone's favorite Spider-Man movie concept art. Spider-Man 3. And this is by... go ahead, Andrew.
Well, let me ask you a question about 3. Sandman's in 3, right?
He is.
So is Sandman ever cool? It's just so lame to me for some reason.
I gotta tell you, Andrew, I agree with you there. I know he is a classic Spider-Man villain. I think he was in like this 4th issue of Spider-Man. Like he is
Okay.
He's
so,
an
yeah. He's pretty
old
early.
classic villain. I think he's got the power is kind of cool. It's kind of like Clayface, but I think he just looks lame.
Yeah,
I mean, this
right?
is like a guy with a
You don't
buzz
like
cut and striped sweater.
You don't like his striped green sweater? You don't think that looks badass?
It's like a big rugby sweater kind of thing.
Yeah, he's okay. Like I think he's
Pure definition of
interesting.
masculinity right there.
He looks like a fucking henchman more than a villain, you know.
Yeah, he
Well,
does.
he kind of is though. Like he's not the sharpest tool in the shed. He's not the smartest villain at all.
No.
I mean, other than the jazz scene, I think that he was like one of the most boring parts of the third one. It's one of the things that really makes it really
I
terrible.
mean, the fight with him and Spider-Man when it's like black suit Spider-Man in the subway station is like pretty cool, but yeah, like there's some visual interest to go along with Sandman, but he's not one of my favorite villains. I think he's kind of just
He's
like
not
okay.
who we're excited for in no way.
No.
Like they revealed him in the latest trailer and like, oh, that's cool. But Willem Dafoe's back. You know,
Oh,
like, that
yeah.
was kind of the general reception when we saw the latest trailers and stuff. So I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, it's cool they brought him back to have some representation of Spider-Man 3, but let's be real, we're here for Dafoe and Molina.
Yeah,
You don't think Eddie Brock's going to be in there from Spider-Man 3?
I
He's
want
just
him
going
to
to
be.
pop up at some point and like
Topher Grace made a
Let's
joke
get him
about
in
that,
there.
too.
Why not? I want to see that Eddie Brock versus what's his name?
Tom Hardy. Eddie
Tom
Brock.
Hardy, dude.
Tom Hardy.
He's like 4 times bigger than the other one.
I mean, I don't know. It'd be interesting to see Tom Holland versus Tom Hardy, or even Tom Holland versus Vincent D'Onofrio.
That'll
Yeah.
be right. And they just Kevin, what's his name? Feige just confirmed that he's going to be in
Yeah.
the MCU in some
Yeah.
way. The Daredevil.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
So excited for
we'll
that.
see. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, back to the concept art. E.J. Kreiser, or Kreisler, is the artist of this, and I was telling Ben that I have the Art of Spider-Man 3 book, and he really is a very talented artist. Like, these are beautiful illustrations, and these are kind of conceptualizing the symbiote costume for Spider-Man, and the one on the top left is like the battle damage suit for Spider-Man. So I did want to incorporate these, kind of like Ben said, just as some visual callback to Spider-Man 3, because Peter's suit doesn't change that much. It does become black, and the spider on the chest does change a little bit. But as far as concept art goes, the artist was really trying to figure out, like, visually, what was the symbiote going to look like as a living, moving being on Spider-Man, and, like, whenever he's ripping it off. So these illustrations are kind of cool from that point of view.
It looks pretty close, at least the one on the right. The one on the top left, I'm like, where is his face?
Well, it's battle damage Spider-Man. I guess it's partially ripped, like where you can see his eyes. Yeah.
It's a little hard to make out, but I'm like, okay, cool.
Yeah, it's cool.
It looks good.
The Venom shot is cool. I mean, that looks awesome. Did we get a shot like that in the movie?
Yeah, whenever he's banging against the bell.
Yeah. Oh,
yeah. When he gets rid of it for good, and then Eddie gets it.
Yeah, that scene was okay, I thought.
Yeah,
it was fine.
I like that scene.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I like seeing how he was imagining the black, like, symbiote ooze kind of crawling up Spider-Man's arm. So, really interesting. I mean, visually, they definitely took a lot from this. So, that's pretty cool. Now, this I think is really cool.
Yes.
You can see that they were testing out a more traditional, like, black symbiote suit for the live-action version for Spider-Man 3, which is... I kind of wish this had happened. I think it would have looked really cool.
Yeah,
I think I was reading in the art of book that they were afraid it was going to look too BDSM. But Spider-Man is covered in, like, black latex. So
I see.
For those listening, there's no webbing on the costume. We can see that they're testing out different logos on the suit, so they're holding them up. And the one that they're placing on his chest is the white spider from the comics done in silver. So it's like a metallic, Venom logo pretty much. And Spider-Man's lenses are silver too. So it's like a slick, like, black outfit. Maybe a little bit more matte than, like, Michelle Pfeiffer's Catwoman. But it's, like, all black and just smooth. Which, I don't know, that kind of would have been really cool to me to see that.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's pretty much the costume come to life.
Yeah.
I didn't really... When I first saw that image, the Spider-Man 3 poster, where it's just, like, it's brooding Spider-Man in, like, a black suit, I'm just like, why did they... It just looks like they dyed the regular costume black.
Yeah.
Like, why couldn't they just done this? Because I'm just
That's what they did.
Well, I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
But if Venom is going to look the way he does, then it kind of makes more sense to me that when the symbiote attaches to Peter, it already has this kind of design on it with the white and black. And then when it attaches to Eddie, it does the same thing.
I guess they were trying to think it was like, okay, the symbiote is going on top of Peter's costume with the raised up webbing, so it is, like, embedding itself into it, or it is mimicking that texture. I'm not sure why they did that exactly. I mean, I think this looks really cool, and the concept art to the left is actually for Venom himself, but it looks enough like the kind of just symbiote Spider-Man that I left it in there. You can see, though, he does have little lips up close. That's really? It is Venom with a little mouth. I can see that. And he looks just a little more deranged. The, like, spider symbol is a little bit more spread out. The one in the final movie, the Venom's, like, chest symbol looks like a mixture between, like, the comic book symbol and the film one, where it's like the legs are skinnier and kind of, like, more jagged looking. But it is interesting.
Yeah, I wish they did this. I
wish they
did this in the movie.
Yeah, what you think, Andy?
It's cool. I think the chest area is cool, but the head's a little plain or something. I need to kind of... I don't know what they could do, but it's a little too plain. But other than that, it is cool. It would have been probably better to see this as well than what we got. I mean, we talked about this off the air, I think, but it's rumored, or it was in an actual interview, that Raimi just wasn't into Venom, because Raimi is an older guy, and and Venom came out in the late 80s, and it's just not his thing. It didn't grow up with Venom, but so his passion wasn't in this character at all.
Yeah, Venom was kind of pushed on Sam Raimi by Avi Arad and by the studio, because he is, like, a fan favorite. And I know me and Ben were talking about this before you came on, Andrew, but Vulture was supposed to be in Venom's position before they decided to add Venom in. So I don't even know if the symbiote costume would have been part of the movie. before then, which is kind of I don't know exactly what the script would have been like, but Sam Raimi really wanted to have Sandman because he's like a classic Spider-Man villain, and he wanted to tie up like Harry's arc.
Yeah.
For like the Green Goblin and everything.
You have to have that at least, yeah.
Yeah, which felt kind of like a footnote by the third one, which it felt like it was building and building in the second one. Then it's like, oh, this is it. So
to me, it felt like like the jazz scene is so incredibly bad. It's like Raimi was pissed that he had to make this movie, so they add this scene in there so that Raimi knows he can bury it.
Yeah,
that's. That's
that.
what I feel. That's my my fan theory about Spider-Man 3. It's just
bury
so
as in destroy the movie?
Destroy this franchise because it is just so heinously bad.
The jazz scene is unforgivable. I don't know if it's a conspiracy by Raimi, but I do think it's like Raimi can't imagine Peter being cool when he's got the symbiote costume. So he just is like, this is Peter's version of being cool because Peter's already a dork. So now, even though he's cool, he's still stupid. I don't know.
He's just doing jazz shit to be a badass. Like, it's not. Maybe it was bad in the fucking 30s.
I don't think he's supposed to be cool Peter at all, at least from our standpoint. I think there is an element where it's like the darkest that Peter can go because his soul is pretty pure. The darkest he can go is to be this kind of really funny, lame, wannabe type. And that's an interesting idea. I just think execution-wise, you'd have too many people laughing at him. It's too comedic. It makes you laugh at the hero. That's why there's all we have the Bully Maguire meme on YouTube because of this movie.
Gonna cry, little goblin, you.
Put some dirt in your eye.
Yeah,
it's just so bad. It's so bad. I could not stand that shit, man.
Well, let's move on. If we're gonna, we don't want to upset Andrew too much longer. It is time to move past the Raimi-verse into the webverse of the Amazing Spider-Man. And most of the concept art for this is done by Ed Natividad?
Yeah.
All right, there we go.
Natividad, I think.
Natividad. So these are all like pretty interesting. I will say that the proportions of the one on the right bother me, but I don't know if that was done by Ed.
There's a lot. That one almost looks like a photo or some sort of CG rendering.
It's a CG rendering, but it looks like the kid from Spider-Man 2 that he saves at the end from Rhino. The proportions are just a little bit off.
It's like Amazing Spider-Man 2, yeah. He's bunched up there
in the crotch.
In the crotch, too.
Rides up in the crotch a little bit.
He's got rubber. It's like he's got rubber pants, and they bunched up in the crotch. And he's hitting puberty, so he's just getting bigger down there, and he's just really uncomfortable.
So he
has to walk like that.
What are they called? Waders or something? Like when people go fishing, and it's like the rubber overalls. That's kind of what it reminds me of.
I know what you're talking about.
It's not a flattering picture. Like the other pictures are fine, but this one on the right, just when we got to the slide, I was immediately like, "Oh God!"
I'll tell you what it is too. It's that red is spread too far. It looks like a one-piece bathing suit on the top as well.
Yeah,
it needs to be. You see the other red parts in the chest area; they're thinner. So that design works. It's
the torso that's too fat the red.
Yeah, on top of the crotch bunching up.
It looks like he got out of the pool.
Other than the proportions, it's like the Raimi costume, but on a disproportionate body. Like as far as the raised up silver webbing and all that. But it's the other two. I can see the direction they were going in for the Amazing Spider-Man. You see like the golden lenses. You see like more incorporations of like blue like into the palms, and even the spider on his chest in the middle is blue, and even like breaking up the shapes. That's kind of experimenting with the traditional Spider-Man costume. I mean, they're not bad. I don't hate either of the two on the left.
What's up with the horizontal lines along his body?
Yeah, that one I don't like so much.
I'm like, wait a minute. What is
it?
That?
I think it's just the artist experimenting with breaking up the shapes. But I don't think it is as successful as the one in the middle because it's like you can't deviate too far from the classic look without, having issues. Where, like we said with the guy that did the webbing on the blue, I guess it's just kind of a, testing the waters, seeing how it looks.
No, the one in the middle is the best.
Yeah.
Out of these three.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a
He
good
doesn't
one.
look that uncomfortable. And he doesn't have the weird lines across the red.
That's right.
It looks somewhat close to what we got in the movie. It's been a while since I've seen that first movie, but I'm
Yeah,
pretty sure
me
it
too.
looks pretty much like this.
Let's go back and check it out.
Well, that's the Goose Egg.
Here
Hey,
we are.
there you go, Ben.
We've
You
arrived.
figured it out.
So looking at what
man.
looks like a naked Spider-Man if he were red with some blue highlights along.
This looks like
No chest
ahead.
logo.
Oh, there is, Ben. The spider is kind of on the pectoral muscle on the left there, I think.
Oh, it's on the side.
yeah.
It's not even
What the
center.
fuck?
All right, look
I'm still not
for the
seeing it.
viewers
Hold
at home. This looks like
Oh, I see it.
This looks like a kid took red and blue Play-Doh, rolled it together into a marble texture, and then molded a man, and that's Spider-Man. It's like just red and blue, like marbled effect. I think it's trying to emulate a web, whereas let's say Spider-Man was all red, then you took blue and tried to like make a web pattern all over his whole body, and then put a little blue spider kind of symbol on the left pectoral muscle. It's heinous.
This is terrible. This is a goose egg. This is like, thank God we got what we got in these movies. The Garfield movies have problems, but this is not one. Like the suit was not one of them.
No
to me.
offense to Ed. I think he's a good artist. This is just you flew too close to the sun. This is it's not good.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is I mean, if you would have seen Garfield come out with this suit, people would have been like, "Man, where's Raimi, dude? This is."
They would have been rioting in the streets. Cats
Yeah.
would have been marrying dogs.
This
Children
500
would have
Days
been
of Summer,
screaming. Yeah.
500 Days of Summer director is not doing it for us, man. This is. It looks like it's worse than Spider-Man 2099, but it sort of reminds me of that too.
It does remind me of that, yeah.
And I like Spider-Man 2099's costume.
Yeah.
But this is
Doesn't look
like
like a baby.
this
A
is
red baby.
Spider-Man 2099 has a balance of blue and red.
Yeah,
This is
right.
like just thrown up, red and blue everywhere. So no,
Yeah.
this is a goose egg.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
This
a
is
goose egg
disgusting,
for sure. Yeah, it's terrible.
Now the one on the right's not bad. It's
It's
not bad.
okay.
it's
little
again
Too much blue.
yeah, it's experimenting. Well, I think it's too much red. I think it's experimenting with the boot. Like the
Yeah.
red leg
Oh,
is
yeah.
like going up. So the people listening and not seeing this. Okay, Spider-Man's regular red boot is sliding all the way up his thigh, and then there's like a split line going up to his hip of red.
Yeah.
And then his gloves kind of split too. There's like holes in the red where blue is showing. But I would say like Spider-Man from the head down to his like sternum looks pretty classic. It's just like
Yeah.
that classic Spider-Man like shape of the red and blue. Really big spider, but other than that, like that part looks pretty normal to me.
There's a little too much of a mix of red and blue. I
Yeah.
think, of them, as opposed to just keeping them separate, like in the classic costume.
Yeah, again, I think it's just like an experiment, which I feel like is more forgivable
yeah,
than
for
the one
sure.
before it.
Yeah, it's a little too armored as well. You know, Spider-Man's all about being sleek, svelte.
Yeah.
Mhm.
You know.
He's got them
So-
calves.
Yeah, he's definitely like
He's got
not
some
skipping leg day.
cankles.
Yeah.
He's stomping around New York in that, in that Spider-Man outfit.
He's got a pounce, man. Come on.
Yeah.
Stomping around New York City.
He's just squatting everywhere.
What you doing? Oh, just stomping.
Spider stomping.
Spider style.
Doing the spoder stomp. All right, so we,
Spoder stomp.
all right, so we took a look at this,
Shit.
and now we've got some other concept art for the Amazing Spider-Man, which looks the one on the left looks pretty close to the final costume. I also included these pictures as well because the difference is that his lenses are like a black reflected, like the
Yeah.
Alex Ross one instead of gold. So I thought that was kind of unique.
Also weird to see it without the lenses at the top right photo.
Oh yeah, that's how almost all of them look without the lenses in them. It is kind of weird.
Yeah. When you do stunts too, they have to do it without the lenses just for safety, I think.
Yeah.
And then it's CG'd back on.
Mm-hmm. Most of them are clipped in magnetically. Like there is like I said, there's like a hard shell underneath the thin material that's over it. And then the lenses are like little magnetic pieces that just like clip on.
Looks cool. Yeah. That's Jose, right?
I believe so.
Yeah.
Yep. Looks pretty close to what we got.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Pretty neato burrito. All right. Now this, we are looking at, we're moving on to the Amazing Spider-Man 2. And,
man. Here we go.
Yeah.
We decided to go armor, it looks like.
Yeah, we got
everything's
armored,
metal.
This concept.
armored Spidey.
Yeah, everything's metallic.
Does not look good.
I can't say I disagree with you guys. This is, I mean, I would say that out of the three of these, the one on the left is my favorite of this style.
Yeah,
I think I like it because of the big lenses.
It's more classic.
It looks kind of like the new Iron Spider costume a little bit, but
yeah, they're a little too big, I think.
They are
too big
too buggy. Yeah.
But it's still pretty neat, I guess.
The guy in the middle is too small. The eyes are way too small on that one, it looks like. And then there's no webbing. And then it's like they got weird with all the armored plating for blue and red on that. And then the one on the very right, it's almost like a black instead of a blue.
It's super dark.
Yeah. So there's a little bit of the Alex Ross flavor on that. The spider takes up his entire torso. So it's a humongous spider.
Yeah.
On that one.
It's just it's a lot. I don't like the darkness of the reds, the ones to the right either.
That's true, yeah.
It's super dark. It's like, this is like SWAT team like Spider-Man or something. I mean, I guess if it was like the stealth suit, that would be kind of interesting, but just for like Spider-Man in general, I don't like him being that dark. I like seeing the definition of his costume because it is like very, it's a fantastic costume. It has nothing to do with spiders, but it's iconic with like the blue and the red. Like you want to be able to see that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. The red seems a little better on the boots than up above. Maybe that's just the lighting that they have on these renderings.
Probably.
It's if the rest of the red was like that, it probably wouldn't be as bad. But we still have the other problems with the designs. Like even the one on the very right, it's like they're trying to break up even the area right above his belt area or something with like the blue coming in. So there's almost like this T shape. It's weird. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not good. If that one was a Goose Egg, I would say the two on the right are E's.
Yeah.
And the one on the left is an F+.
Yeah.
I don't hate it. Maybe it's a D.
Oh, wait. F is below the E's, so...
Oh, I'm sorry. Then the ones on the right are F's.
Yeah.
So that other one's an E+ or a D-.
Yeah.
I could pretty much agree. It's just a little too busy, There's something to be said about simplicity, right? And I mean, again, if it was like a futuristic kind of thing, maybe, just because it's a different setting, kind of. And if those the lens, I like the the 90s Spider-Man big eyes. That is my Spider-Man, I like the bigger eyes, but they look like Oakley lenses or something.
They do. They take up half his face.
Yeah, it's just a little too big, and the lens color seems off. But what do I know?
Nothing.
I guess so.
It's another thing too, where I'm just like, you've already have like the Raimi ones. They were like, all right, let's just stick with this and only adjust when it's stuff that's like more practical or stuff to make Tobey or the stuntmen more comfortable and stuff.
Yeah.
Here, it's just like, why are you even bothering with trying to fix something?
Gotta make something new.
Yeah, like I'm just like, I get maybe he upgrades the suit, maybe it's slightly different, and that you would have to have some upgrades sometimes, or just like, hey, we didn't get this right last time for Andrew's comfort and stuff, so let's do this better. But like, why would you have to go through this to this extent just to redesign the whole thing.
I've never
Doesn't
been
make any
part
sense
of
to me.
this process in particular, but I think that what I think happens is they just say, hey, we need like 10 designs. And so it's not like the guy draws 10 designs he fucking loves. Probably the person drawing is like probably like loves 2 or 3 of them, and then it's like, well, I gotta draw some other shit, so let's just vary it up, and it's not like these are all of his babies, this is just how it is. They just want to, he's drawing for the director, and then just gonna go from there.
Yeah, I can definitely attest to that. Whenever I do designs, I will do a couple of thumbnails, and they'll usually just be like 3. But whenever I took a graphic design class, the most thumbnails I ever made was 30. And after a while, you just start like putting random shit up there to get it done, because like you have a certain amount of that you do, and then you like some of them, but then the other ones are just like, well, I'm just gonna do this to get it over with, like kind of like you have a quota to fill. So yeah, I definitely understand that, being from that perspective.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've got some more amazing Spider-Man art, concept art.
Web wings on the left.
Web
Interesting.
wings and super skinny eyes, and a pectoral spider symbol instead of one in the center.
Well, no, sir, I don't like it.
Yeah, that's still an awful idea. And they also have a spider on his. They got a spider on his leg. You see that?
I'll be damned, you're right. I didn't notice that.
They really wanted this V to taper into to point at his dick, right? They had this, and the Alex Rossman had this as well, and I don't know, man.
I don't think the Alex Rossman was that low. This one's getting like down to the bottom.
Yeah, it really is.
It almost looks like they wanted him to look more like a fly in this one too, based off of the eyes and like the wings. Because like, look how big the wings are.
Fly
it's not an
man.
armpit wing. It's spider fly.
Spider fly. Coming.
I think it's just a 3D rendering too, but they look very, I don't know, like a satin, not quite glossy, but not matte. There's like a satin finish to the costumes, and the one in the center, it's like the V is kind of almost, again, blending into the blue, which has a grayish black look. It's just a little bizarre. I don't even see any webbing on the one in the center, but it might be there.
It almost feels like they were unfinished. They're like, I'll put the blue in later. Let's keep it at the black and gray, and then they forgot to keep painting.
Yeah.
That's
Again,
what it looks like for the middle
these
one.
may have been really quick, like 3D like renderings with like like ZBrush on Photoshop or something. So they might have just like done something just so they could see like what the motifs look like as far as like the shapes and patterns for blue and red, but they are not very appealing.
The one on the right's pretty classic, though, right?
Yeah.
I mean, this is about as classic as you can get, just about.
I think that's where they started to go in the direction of let's stop fucking this up, and let's just do Spider-Man's costume.
People are gonna hate this movie anyway, so we're just gonna at least try to have a saving grace here somewhere.
I mean, the best part of the movie is Spider-Man's costume, I would say, of Spider-Man, the Amazing Spider-Man 2.
Mm-hmm.
That movie felt like it was found in the edit. I really feel that way, especially how it ends too. I just don't. Have you read that script? Either of you?
I have not.
Is it around?
I don't know.
It's around.
I don't know if it is. If it's been out for a while. It might be, but it just kind of feels like I wonder if it was written like that, man. I bet you. I just got this feeling
there's a lot
after
of
seeing
deleted stuff. I know, like of Mary
there's a lot of
Jane.
deleted stuff.
Right.
There's a whole release, the web cut for that one specifically too.
I think the editor was unsung hero on that one. It could have been way worse.
You could salvage for that movie.
It could have been much worse, much worse. It wasn't great, but I don't know. Maybe because I went in with super low expectations, it wasn't that bad. That's just me, though.
It's another overcrowded one. I know that's ironic to hear, considering that we're all looking forward to a movie that at least has 5 villains to it. But at least they're villains that we've seen before, that we're already
excited
somewhat
about.
developed.
And it's part of an universe, so it has room for it. So I get it.
But that I just think they went overboard with like, we got to set all this stuff up, and they forgot to tell
for the
the
Sinister
story.
Six. Yeah,
let's set up the Sinister Six. That just doesn't end up happening anyway. So it was just too much.
I will say,
setup.
I don't hate that movie, and I didn't feel like I hated it when I watched it either. But I do feel like it's one of the weaker Spider-Man movies. But if I had to choose, after seeing both of them, I kind of enjoy The Amazing Spider-Man 2 a little bit more than The Amazing Spider-Man. I think it's because they made him a little bit more enjoyable, or at least likable, like Spider-Man himself, Peter. And
it feels lighter.
It does feel a little lighter. And I didn't mind a lot of the dark stuff in the first one. I actually really liked the Lizard as a villain, but cool. I did not like Peter in the first one. I thought he was really unlikable. And to me, I really liked... The reason I like Tobey's Peter as well as Tom Holland's Peter is because he's like just such a pure individual. And I don't know if it's him being naive, but he's just like so good. And the world just keeps like shitting on him, but he deals with it with like humor and perseverance and like still being a good person. Where I guess, like you said, we did see a character arc for Andrew Garfield, but he just was, I don't know, he just was so pissy throughout most of that movie. I just could not enjoy him. I could not put myself in his shoes like I did with the other ones.
Yeah, I understand that, and I think I agree as well with that. It seems like they wanted to explore a little more of that period of time in the Amazing Fantasy issue when they first introduced Spider-Man, where he was like a lot more arrogant and doing all the wrestling stuff, and Uncle Ben hadn't died yet, but he was Spider-Man, so that like weird in-between time that it seems like they really wanted to explore his arc with that and carry that over and that type of stuff. And I think it was at the cost of his likability. But I do kind of see what you mean, where like the second movie is a little bit closer to that sort of the classic Spider-Man that you know and love.
Yeah.
I mean, just going back to what I said a little bit earlier, the reason I feel like the editor is kind of saved it a little bit was there's like this montage at the end of it with the Sinister Six or heading that direction, and it just kind of, I don't know, maybe I've just been in the film world for a while now or something. I don't know what it is, but it just I got this feeling like they didn't have this montage planned. this montage was found in the editing room.
Yeah.
You know, they did not have this on the page. So, I don't know. I don't know why I felt like
There's an alternate ending online where it turns out that Peter's dad is still alive.
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
And he comes to visit him and ends up being the one to tell him, with great power comes great responsibility.
Yeah.
And stuff. Completely gone from the movie. But I think that was supposed to be at the end. There's a lot of stuff in there. And maybe at some point we'll do a deep dive into that. We've got a lot of Spider-Man movies to cover.
I think that would be cool.
Case. So my spidey senses may be correct about this. That's interesting.
I think it is, yeah.
It's tingling.
Yeah, it's tingling. As it does.
Get some ointment for that.
I need to.
Here's some more Amazing Spider-Man 2 concept art. I feel like this is getting a little bit closer to something that I enjoy.
That's
a little closer to classic Spider-Man.
Some long-ass legs on the spider on these chests here, but it's still cool.
That was the Andrew Garfield symbol.
It was.
Was it that long in the final product?
Not in the second one, but it was in the first one.
Really? God, I don't remember that shit. Okay.
It's blue and it like goes into it.
Okay.
Because there have been so many Spider-Man suits on film at this point where I'm just like, okay, the Raimi one's clearly the one with the silver webbing, and then Garfield's the one with that symbol and stuff.
I feel like he
just has like 20 different suits at this point.
Yeah. And I feel like the Andrew Garfield one does have raised silver webbing in the second one, or it definitely is. I don't think it's black. I gotta go back and look, but it's raised up.
Yeah, just it has a different look to it than the.
It does, yeah. It's not super silvery, but these are pretty cool. I mean, they're very subtle differences. If you look at the one on the left, the belt of Spider-Man's costume is broken up. The shapes of it. Yeah. The one in the middle, the one in the middle is like almost just completely classic Spider-Man, and the one on the right is just a darkened version of the colors, which it's still cool, but I don't like it as just the regular costume. It's just again, it makes it like super serious or something, trying to make Spider-Man dark.
It looks closer to the aesthetic of the first movie, though.
It does.
The Amazing Spider-Man one. Yeah. The one in the middle is the way to go.
Definitely. But again, these are A's and B's to me. These are not goose eggs.
These are A for sure.
We passed the goose egg already.
A level.
I believe we have, yes. So, enough of this Garfield talk. It's time to get into some Tom Holland Spider-Man. And Josh Herman is the one who designed the Spider-Man costume for Captain America: Civil War, as we can see right here. And the reason I put this up here is it is slightly different than what we saw in Civil War and then in Homecoming, where the webbing is actually raised up and it's black.
Just one question. It does say Spider-Man Homecoming on the
It
bottom
does say
corner.
it up there. I was just trying to find some different pictures from Civil War. We are going to look at some of those next. This may be the one they had for Homecoming, which I'm assuming is the same costume, but just maybe a slight difference. This is the one from Civil War that they were originally going to use, and you can see that webbing is raised up.
It's black instead of
It's
silver.
black, yeah.
Which does evoke the the Ditko look.
Yeah, something about it I really like. I think it's just, I mean, I like the Tom Holland like costume in general, the one from Homecoming and Civil War, because it is like so just like retro classic Spider-Man, but in the real world.
He's even got that tick on the back.
Yeah,
It was
He
on the
does.
previous slide. Yeah.
That's right. He does have that
Yeah.
tick on the back,
Yeah.
and I like it.
Tick Man.
Yeah. So I don't
Yeah,
know.
it's
It's just it's really cool to me. I even like how
Yeah,
mirrored
no, it
the
looks good.
lenses look on here, and yeah, it's just it's neat to see like the raised up webbing. I do like the finished version where it's a little bit more like refined and almost like it's sculpted into the suit itself. But this is kind of cool. It is like just a real life Spider-Man, right off the comic book page. So
Yeah, I agree.
kind of
I
neat.
like it. Nice.
And
Yeah,
now we're
looks cool.
getting into Ryan I think it's
Meinerding.
Meinerding. There you go. So the rest of the concept art we're going to look at is by Ryan, and this is kind of some concept art for Homecoming. We'll look at No Way Home, Infinity Wars, and even a little sneak peek for No Way Home. Wait, I'm sorry. I meant Far From Home earlier. So yeah, we'll take a look at all the
Got some inside
Tom Holland
intel.
Spider-Man.
No Way
Yeah,
Home.
just a little bit, not that much, but this is kind of cool because we're seeing some concept art for Spider-Man's homemade costume, and of course the one on the left is like the Scarlet Spider from the
Yeah, it looks like
comics.
Ben Reilly. Yeah.
I really like the one on the right. I kind of wish they had done this because it's kind of like if you
It's the TV show.
yeah, like it's like the 60s TV show, even like Japanese Spider-Man. It's like if a kid was trying to make a Spider-Man costume, I mean, this is like homemade Spider-Man. Something about it is really cool to me.
Yeah, that's cool.
I like it as the homemade one. When we
Yes.
first saw this, I'm just like, he looks like he's wearing blue sweatpants. But then I'm just like, oh,
Yeah, this is his homemade
if
outfit.
if he is his homemade outfit, he would be using blue sweatpants. So like, if
Yeah.
this was the Homecoming one, I'd probably almost, I don't know, I'd probably almost prefer it because of the fact that like if there's one thing I didn't care for with the homemade Spider-Man outfit in the MCU, it was that like it looks so different from like the classic Spider-Man look, where
Yeah.
I'm just like, okay, so basically Tony Stark comes up with the
Exactly.
classic Spider-Man outfit, not Peter.
This looks like Tony Stark could have interpreted Peter's homemade
Exactly.
outfit into the traditional comic book outfit.
Mhm.
Yeah, I agree with
Exactly.
that.
Yeah, so I probably would have preferred this.
The Scarlet Spider is kind of cool, though. I mean,
I
it's just
kinda-
It
neat to
is, but
see.
that's for Scarlet Spider.
Yeah.
I like both of these. It's cool. I mean, I like this kind of hoodie look, but I mean, I can see why they went the way they went.
Yeah, I like it. On the one on the right, it even looks like a little tunic or something, like the webbing pattern. Yeah, you can tell it like cuts off right there, like it's a
Oh,
different
yeah.
amount of fabric slipped
Yeah, that's
over
true.
Mhm.
another
Yeah,
part
it's
of the
cool.
costume. So yeah, I don't know, something
Yeah.
about this one is I really like it.
Yeah, it is cool.
Here is some concept art for Infinity Wars, and I gotta say, I love the Iron Spider outfit on the right. Like actually incorporating the red with the gold
Mm.
is it's kind of cool. Like that's closer to the comic book version of the
Yeah.
costume. But otherwise, you get kind of these different like variations of the Iron Spider that we finally got on screen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I mean they look good. I think you can kind of see the base was always kind of going to be the Civil War suit in some way.
Mhm.
They're just kind of adding more tech stuff to that.
Yeah, I don't really like the one on the far left or the the one in the middle on the right, but I do like the one middle left. That's it's a little closer to the Iron Spider that like we do finally get. I like that the eyes look like they're glowing and the red has more of like a metallic finish. So yeah, I mean they're all very techy looking. I just think it's cool that he tried to do something closer to the comics with all red and gold, but you can still see some of the red like spider pattern on the one on the far right. So I don't know, these are interesting to look at.
Yeah, I like this. The one in the middle left is kind of cool just because it's black, but it's probably a little too different from classic. But you know, we've kind of gotten far enough away from that, I guess, to where you can kind of experiment more.
I think you can also kind of get away with it in this universe, where it's just like there are Stark Tech suits and stuff like that. There's multiple Spider-Man suits, so like if you're going to have a whole thing where he's in, you know, in Far From Home, we had the whole Night Monkey suit. You know, like, we accepted that because it's like he's not wearing it for the whole time. It was just for that one adventure. So like it makes sense for that. We kind of excuse that as opposed to like, oh, this is what he's wearing for the whole movie. What the fuck?
Yeah, it's a cool to experiment with, I guess, visually to see what happens. Yeah, I love that. Love the red and gold. These are just very subtle variations on like the Homecoming suit, and Infinity Wars came out before Far From Home, and I feel like the white one is starting to incorporate like black.
Yeah, maybe they drew up on that for Far From Home and stuff.
I think so.
Are those supposed to be his web shooters with the wrist gauntlets? Those are the big things that stand out to me.
Yeah, I think it's still kind of, you know, this is like Infinity Wars territory, so maybe it's still trying to maybe subtly include some Stark Tech in the costume. I see them a lot in like a lot of these Infinity Wars concept art. Is this like gauntlets?
It just feels more clunky to me.
Yeah,
in terms of why it's like so out there,
as
opposed to just like the web shooters just being hidden underneath and just doing that. Like it feels like it's too much.
Yeah,
yeah. It looks like he can't thwip that well. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's too. Maybe he's gonna hit somebody with them.
Yeah, it's too bulbous on the
wrists.
on the outside of the wrist, and it should be. I don't know, man. Yeah, it's just like either like next to nothing or nothing at all, or like that just circular bracelet look is cool too. You know, the Japanese Spider-Man one has that as well, I think.
They don't even look like wrist like web shooters. They just look like wrist shields.
Yeah, like Wonder Woman gauntlets.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it doesn't look right.
Yeah.
Other than that, it looks pretty cool though.
Yeah. Looks like pretty much like the Tom Holland costume with little variations.
Yeah.
Oh, I love this.
I'm going full Iron Spider here.
Yeah.
So this is the red and gold.
Yeah, this is like I said, I like how the red of the suit is still visible, but the blue is changed to like a dark red. I don't know, something about it. I like seeing like them incorporating the comic book version of the costume, which originally I was not a fan of. I really did not like the Iron Spider costume in the comics, but seeing it here, like incorporated into the textures of the Spider-Man costume and on film, it looks really cool.
I think it takes some getting used to, because when I first look at this, I just think ketchup and mustard.
That's funny. Oh, it's also like there's something to be said about two hot colors.
Warm colors, yeah.
Yeah, warm colors, then you got red and blue, so you have like that nice balance, you know, of warm and cool colors.
Patriotic.
Yeah, this is just it's all warm. So
this is like Flash.
It reads a certain way. Yeah,
but you're used to that with the Flash.
That's true. I think it's supposed to emulate Iron Man. You know, that's why because it's supposed to be Tony making that costume. Yeah, so it's like I'm gonna really pump the Iron Man colors into this one.
This is like a 2099 kind of redesign, or like again like a sci-fi thing. I would accept it a lot more, but for this, it's I don't know. It's not my favorite.
I'm alone. It's all right.
We're also seeing that you've seen this for a while, and it, even as you said, it took a while for you to get used to it. I think we were in the getting used to it stage. We're just looking at this and like, kind of glad we didn't get this.
Yeah, I remember the comic came out and I did not like it. I was like, what the hell is this?
Interesting.
Yeah,
I do
there's
feel
also
like
that element too. That's it's based off that one specific comic. But I'm just like,
Yeah.
like that doesn't mean they have to do that one.
Sometimes it feels like really good art is something you have to get used to. Also, I've thought that before, especially with music. With me, sometimes like it takes a while for you to quite get it. I mean, even when I was a kid, when I listened to Nirvana, I was like, I didn't like it at first, and then it was just like, oh yeah, this is amazing. You know what I mean? Like it just sometimes it takes a while to appreciate a thing. Or you never will. It just depends.
You're never going to appreciate that Goose Egg Spider-Man costume.
I don't think so. No.
No. I'm not saying that applies for fucking every bad thing ever.
Yeah, that's true.
But you can change your mind about things. That happened a lot with me with comedy too, man. There's been so many shows where I like Zoolander. I hated it at first, and then I loved it the second time.
Some things change too, where you don't like them anymore. Like a lot of Adam Sandler movies for me. It's like,
dude,
I'm not a middle schooler anymore.
I left the Adam Sandler train when Waterboy came out. I fucking could not stand that shit.
Yeah. Back to Spider-Man, though.
That's a whole other we'll rank Sandler movies later.
These are kind of neat. There's like a black and gold Iron Spider, and the one on the right is kind of cool. It's a little closer to what we finally get for the Iron Spider costume. I do like that the red here is much darker, so there's like a contrast between like the Spider-Man regular red motif on the blue, but you got like a dark red where it replaces the blue, and then a big spider with like it's black or dark red with like gold outlining it. So that's kind of cool.
Techno spider look,
Yeah.
Techno suit kind of vibe for sure. Like like the spider is a circuit board.
Yeah.
That's what this looks like. That's this. I think that's kind of the aesthetic here.
Yeah, and the other Iron Spider one is basically the same picture as the one before. They just he made it all black.
Oh yeah,
with like gold.
I like the black. See, you have the totally cool with all the way dark, and then broken up with the gold. So yeah, I think it looks cooler.
Even
it's getting into Venom territory, but still.
Yeah,
exactly.
Even the gold looks like more of a rose gold to me. Like this is like a brassier like yellow gold, and this is like a little bit pinker or something. So
right,
it's definitely interesting. I mean, I like looking at these to see what could have been.
This the black suit it pleases my ninja aesthetic.
There you go. You like it.
Yeah, that's a good one. It's a A.
All right, so we're getting to the end of the line here. I included this picture to the left because it's the inside of Spider-Man's mask, which is never fully seen on film, but Ryan said that he designed it and they created it for like a shot where Tom Holland and Ned are trying on the mask. So I guess you can see there's like a little bit of circuitry, but it's kind of cool to me to see that it's like red on the lenses from the other side. So does Spider-Man have like red vision? Or maybe it's just I'm dumb. It's the inside of the mask.
I think it's the other side of the mask. Yeah,
I'm stupid. I just thought like, does Spider-Man have red vision all the time? Yeah, you're right. It's the other side of the mask, but it's cool to see the circuitry and like the webbing and everything is kind of neat.
Yeah, it's cool.
And this Spider-Man costume to the right is actually one that was designed to be used by an actor at Disneyland or Disney World, the park costume.
Yeah, I can see that. They got the Avengers campus now.
Yeah. So it's kind of like a little bit more of a brighter, and even the spider is a little bit bigger, like I guess kind of a slightly cartoonish version of the one on film. And he got these kind of weird little gauntlet things, but other than that, he's looking pretty cool.
I like it. I like this one.
Yeah. And that, Uncle Ben and Auntie Andrew, is superhero stuff you should know. Oh shit, we had more stuff.
This is the post credits.
Oh my god, here we go. You know what?
Add it in.
Yeah, we'll do it. I think somebody said they liked that. Was it Walter the Robot said they liked it?
Oh yeah.
Well, Walter, here you go. Here's our MCU behind the scenes look here. Our post credits scene. Sorry, I thought I had put the other one at the end. Anyways, here's some more artwork from Ryan from Far From Home, which is kind of neat. Again, incorporating the black and the red.
This is like a come at me bro pose, by the way.
Yeah. But this one on the left very much feels like it fits Far From Home. If this was the regular like Spider-Man New York thing, I'd be like, I don't know. But like for Far From Home, where he's working with Shield, I'm like, oh, this fits because there's almost like there's a bit of Black Widow. It feels with the black in the torso and the legs and stuff. So like I can kind of see that would have worked. I'd be more accepting of that in the Far From Home story than anywhere else.
I don't like the one on the right. The spider is like a backpack or something. I don't like the legs going over his shoulders. There's something weird about that.
That's funny. Yeah, left one is better too, I think. And I like I like these kind of shoes too. I'm always a fan of minimal shoes. I've said this before, but like I really prefer like again like the Ninja Tabi boot over a big ass Doc Marten. It's gotta be sleek as fuck, especially with Spider-Man. I love the fucking Spider-Gwen, like those
little toe booties.
Booties too. I think it's such a great design. That's that's the kind of stuff I like.
Here's some more where he's playing around with the black and red for Far From Home. You can see it's getting a little bit closer to what we ended up with. This one is more super Alex Ross to me. This looks like almost exactly like that costume.
Yeah.
You know, I wouldn't have minded it in Far From Home. You know,
see, now you're changing your tune.
For that context, where he's working with S.H.I.E.L.D., and there was the whole, like, stealth suit thing anyway, I'm like, that's the context where that would work.
Yep, I do like it there as well.
Yeah.
And
I might have liked it even more than Night Monkey.
Hey, I think I would have too, actually.
Yeah.
And here is I promised you a little tease, a little look into No Way Home. There's no real concept art out there to speak of right now. Everything's tightly under wraps, but this is the costume that we see when Peter is fighting Doc Ock in the trailer, which at first glance I thought it was the Iron Spider costume from Infinity Wars, but it's not. It's actually just slightly altered. Like the spider is all gold instead of black with like gold lining. So there's a couple little differences to it. So I'm interested to see what else is different in the film. I couldn't find any concept art for the black suit, but of course this was supposed to be unused Spider-Man artwork. So that's why I just kind of tossed this one here at the end so we could look at it.
Makes sense.
Looks cool. Don't love it, but I mean they've had like a billion other ones, and they've done even the Ditko Tick suit. So it's like, sure, why not? Let's do it.
Go for it.
It's something that works for Infinity War.
Yeah,
but not really something that I really wanted to see post Infinity War. So I'm just like, let's go back to the classic suit now.
Yeah, it's true.
I kind of feel that way too. So we'll see how it goes. And I promise this time. It's been superhero stuff you should know.
Oh, man. There we go.
Post-credits scene.
Post-credits. We're back at it.
Yep.
All right. Here's the comments.
Fan comments. Yes. Do you want to read these, Zach, or do you want me to read them? This is from Paul, I should say. His name's not on here, so I'm going to say this is Paul from Australia.
Let me pull this open so I can see it a little bit.
You're going to do an Australian accent.
Oh, no. I'm going to offend somebody. All right.
They don't get offended, man. Don't worry about it.
This is going to be bad.
Not the Aussies.
You can just say it in your regular voice.
All right. I'm going to say it in Joker's voice.
Okay, there you go.
Hello, guys. Just finished listening to your Unmade Batsuit podcast. After listening to both your Batmobile episodes, they were awesome. And there was so much concept design I had no idea about. I also like that you covered Geiger's Batmobile design. And having heard some of your comments, maybe they could use it if they made this movie. Bum, bum, bum. Batman versus aliens. I could see Batman commandeering the Geiger vehicle from the Prometheus engineers to battle the aliens off-world. I don't know, sounds a bit stupid, but the designs would fit.
There's more
Beautiful.
here in the next slide.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Nice pitch, man. Yeah, it's kind of dumb, but
Way to sell it. I
yeah.
also wanted to expand on George Barris. Not only was he responsible for the 66 Batmobile, but also the Munsters family coach and the drag racer Dragula. Actually, he has a list of vehicles he was involved with credited and uncredited on TV and film. I was aware of the Dragula, actually. Finally, in your Batsuit Unused design episode, you showed this one. Scary-looking armor. I'm thinking this was a concept for the Nightmare Batman. Sure, the movie version wasn't armor, but the concept might have been. He has the dirty brown cape, the brown material on his shoulder. He is carrying a gun. The movie had him with a rifle, and he kind of looks apocalyptic and bolted together. I realize he didn't fight Superman in the future, but as a concept where Superman is the enemy, then this fits. What do you guys think? Again, great episodes. I really enjoyed them. Keep up the fantastic work you do each and every week.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yes. Thank you,
Yeah,
Paul.
thanks.
Thank you, Zach, for reading that. In terms of whether this is a concept art for the Nightmare Batman, I think it's kind of a stretch because it's just flat out him in the armored version with over Superman's body. You know, like it's pretty much the scene, the Martha scene. However, now that you've said that, I do kind of love the idea of him being or carrying over that armor into the Nightmare universe.
It'd be hot as
Because
hell.
he's got to fight Superman anyway. He's going to be hot as hell, though.
Yeah, he's out in the
That's
desert.
problem. He's already got the
Trench
trench coat over his suit in the
the
movie.
trench
so
coat over the
looks
cape.
cool.
at least this one, there might be some inside AC for the armor. You don't think
That
so?
thing looks so low tech. You know there's no air conditioning going on in that. It looks really clunky. This is like
It is
post-apocalyptic. You can't keep that stuff running.
You can't be stealth in that fucking suit.
All right. Well, thank you, Paul, for your comment.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm feeling it's not Nightmare Batman, but it's a cool idea.
It is
I mean,
cool.
it's cool, and it's the same guy that did the aliens comment, right?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. That's like the perfect place to put that fucking Batmobile for sure. It'd be
Absolutely.
one of the best Easter eggs ever. So yeah, it's a great idea for sure.
Yeah. Exactly.
Someday.
All right. Nice.
Aha! A comment from Jackson Wayne Putnam. This is commenting on our recent episode, the concept art for Batman Returns.
Mm-hmm.
Also, the projectors on the outside of Wayne Manor are actually mirrors. They are reflecting the bat signal into Bruce's study. That's why they didn't have the bat symbols in the concept art. My whole life I also thought they were lights. Only a few years ago, I found out the truth, that they were in fact mirrors.
So this is a very interesting comment on this because I looked into this because Zach, can you go to the next slide because I put some stuff in this here for the viewers. So in the script, it actually says it's mirrors. It says the bat beacon can be seen through an elegant mansion window. Its reflection is picked up in an ornate mirror in the grand living room and then followed to another strategically placed mirror. The reflection glows against the face of a sitting
I'll be
in
damned.
darkness Bruce Wayne. He moves out of the light. However, that's described to be inside Wayne Manor, not outside of Wayne Manor and stuff. And on the in the actual scene, I've got the GIF going here for the visual stuff. It's not really that clear to me that it's a mirror. It really just flat out looks like two bat signals and stuff.
It kind of looks like that one's lighting up on its own, but I guess it could be reflecting the bat symbol somewhere. The bat
I
Yeah.
don't
signal.
think it is, man. I think it's just supposed to be a light. That's what it looks like to me.
it looks so much like a light, and it doesn't seem like scientifically the mirror would reflect the light from the sky in that type of way. However, what I've got on the right here is supposedly one of the miniatures used in Wayne Manor, and there is no bat symbol on it, which makes me wonder how they even got it on there. So
Yeah.
I'm not really sure about this, but I will say this is a misconception that if it's a misconception that it's supposed to be mirrors, I can see why it's a misconception. Like it comes off like they're two lights that shine into the room. Like that's what it looks like in the movie.
Yeah.
It does not seem like they're mirrors, even though that might be what it was in the script and the concept art, but it doesn't seem like it in the actual movie.
This was just not watertight, bro. They just, they tried their best. They got
This would be
close
cool
to
if that shines on him.
Yeah, they got close to some sort of logic, but I don't think we're not gonna find it.
Yeah,
you know.
And that comes from us as defenders and fans of Batman Returns, but I'm like, this is something where I'm like, if it's mirrors, it's not conveyed very well.
What I'm thinking,
in the actual movie.
Okay, you see it is shining onto the other one. There's a beam of light, and then the other one shines in there. It does look like it almost activates it, but I'm thinking practically, why doesn't he just have bat symbols shining in when he needs them? Like, why does it have to reflect the actual bat signal? Does he ever need it to reflect sunlight into his house? Like it just needs to be a bat symbol shining into his house.
There's also the criticism though that if it is just a bat signal in the Wayne Manor, then that's a terrible way to keep his secret identity.
Do you think anybody's climbing up there and looking at him?
I mean, maybe if they're just touring around the Wayne Manor halls, but I'm like, yeah, it makes more sense if it's a mirror. But the problem is, it doesn't feel like it's a mirror in there because I'm like, the bat signal has to be so bright in the sky that it has to be reflected in that mirror that then reflects it into this other mirror that then reflects it into the room where he stands up. And I'm like, I guess it's comic book movie logic, but it's not conveyed unless you read the script.
This is a movie where penguins have rockets on their back, Ben. You gotta have a suspension of disbelief.
It is true. I'm just saying.
Forget what I said earlier where I was nitpicking everything.
It doesn't make you think that they're mirrors unless you actually read the script. That's my problem with this.
Yeah, that's true. All right.
Last comment.
Is this Willet?
Willits?
I think it's just Willits.
Oh, I was trying to be fancy. Sean Willits, 6 days ago. And he's commenting on the Unmade Batsuits episode that we did. This was so much fun to watch. You guys are hilarious, especially Zack, constantly cracking me up.
Say that.
Lies.
I love the look back at all these. Surprised I haven't seen all of them before. And yes, the JL Mortal ones were abominations. What happens when you try and reinvent perfection? Duty, that's what. Had some good ideas in there, though. Very few. Subscribed.
Thank you. That's awesome.
Thank you, Sean.
Yeah, thank you.
We do forget to be like and subscribe and comment down below. You know, the whole fucking YouTuber shit.
I only say that in the video essays, but yeah.
Well,
we don't really
Andrew,
say that
you can just take what you just said right there and make it into like a little audio clip and play it each time.
Yeah.
See?
That's the
Our work is
comment
done.
down below. Click the bell.
Like and subscribe. All right, thank you, Sean.
Thank you, Sean.
All right, I'm turning this over to Andrew. My voice is getting tired.
Man, here we go. Yes, this blue screen for the visual learners is getting full, isn't it, everybody?
It is. I had to shrink the font.
The Shasta army grows far and wide. We're going to do the Toy Galaxy thing eventually, where we have a fucking actual credits, like.
Yeah.
So. Can't wait for that. That'll be awesome. So, thank you to Shasta Leomo, Super Inframan, Douglas P. Dandy, Aaron Willett, Nick Noir, Jeffrey R. Scott, V. Asgers Webb, Jeremy H., Alex of the What Mean Podcast, Ian Justice, Jared P., Paul C., Jamie H., Rochelle L., Tara M., Matthew B., Skylar, T.D., Jonathan, and Sketchcraft. And we have our other supporters, Sparkageddon, SECT Productions, Robert Schumann, Cookhead Noms, Matt Herring, Elijah B., Shamrock Balls ENH, Walter the Wobot, John Wells, Rye Guy, Jackson Putnam, Tway N, and a new one, Watson. He's Stage Bat on Instagram.
Yep.
Beautiful.
All right, so thank you for those, and please, if you want to be on that list and send us on into the scrolling credits situation, please join the Shasta Army. That's the $1 tier that gets you the shout-out, and that's at patreon.com/superherostuffpod. Also at that same link is the $5 tier. It's a whole other show, and cancel anytime. But this show is every Monday, and the Patreon show is every Friday. And we just do deeper dives. We do reviews and shoot the shit a little bit for a little part of the episode as well. So, but yeah, mostly deeper dive stuff. And then we have our $10 tier, which is a monthly meetup. And we meet up monthly, once a month, and all together with listeners for listeners of the show. And it's like a Zoom type of thing, and we all react to something funny that's Batman related or comics related or whatever. So yeah, please join that. And man, Zach, still sorry, haven't done it yet, but
by the time you get it, I'll have another character or something. You know?
Yeah. You will have left this podcast. No. So hey Zach, we made it. Come back. Superhousepod.redbubble.com, superherostuffpod.threadless.com. Get your Ben Ban and Indeed Wizard, and that's it. Mugs, shirts, shower curtains, artwork by Stefan Santa Cruz. Please, for the love of fucking God, send us some fucking audio to superhousepodcast@gmail.com. I'm tired of listening to Zach's voice.
Hey, we have Ghostface now from the Scream films and
That's
Rocket
true.
Raccoon.
Thank you, TikTok.
These are big celebs on here.
They are calling in. Can you believe that, man? They're calling into the show. That's great.
Yes.
We're having to beat them off with a stick.
It's been a while since I've explained how this works, but let's do it. So fucking, if you have an iPhone, you definitely have a voice recorder app as part of your default apps. You've probably never even known about it. You didn't even know to click on it. I'm sure Droid has something similar, and they're free. If it's not, you could download it for free on the Google Store or whatever. And click that, record us a little something funny, and then send it to, superhousepodcast@gmail.com. And we'll put it on the show. So, yeah, there you go. I'm Thunderwolf Drew on Instagram and Twitter. Thunderwolf lives on YouTube. ThunderwolfDrew.com has all my portfolio and shit except for AmanoRecon.com. That is AMANORECON.com. R-rated. Power Rangers inspired. X-Files inspired. A tone very similar to that of Stranger Things, but R-rated and bloody. It's a project I'm working on. We have shot something, and it's coming. And that what we have shot is a campaign video that's going to be on the Indiegogo page. So if you've ever been to Indiegogo, it's like Kickstarter, and it's better for indie film basically. And it's just to show you what we've done with a little amount of money. So it's at the top of the page. Don't worry about it. And we're going to have probably a 15-second teaser, too, for you millennials out there with no attention spans. Trust me, we're going to have a 15-second version. And that's going to just show you that. And then it's going to, we'll have tiers for donations and stuff like that. And we'll have a goal for making a pilot. So that's it. Ben.
Shout out to Comic Capital on Instagram and the Everything Entertainment Club on Clubhouse, where we met Rob Ailing, who we met in person recently in the LA Comic Con. So thank you very much. You can follow us on social media at Twitter on Twitter at SuperhousePod, Instagram Superhero Stuff Pod, TikTok Superhero Stuff Pod, Vero Superhero Stuff Pod. My website is benwanrider.com, where you can read a couple scripts, including the Gotham script that I wrote called Gotham of Vampire, where young Bruce faces off against the Mad Monk, as well as the spec script for Elementary called The Death of Sherlock Holmes, a modern update on the classic story The Adventure of the Dying Detective. My YouTube channel is in the description below, where you can also check out a new project that I have up there, which is Doctor Who, The Ronin of Time, an audio drama I write, narrate, and edit, as Zach is screwing up the visuals right now.
Oh, I was wondering what was happening with these visuals.
I'm sorry. I'm trying to keep up.
So now we're looking at Doctor Who, The Ronin of Time, an audio drama I write, narrate, and edit. Thumbnail by our assistant, Dan, who, thank you very much, Dan, who did the time codes and chapter stuff and QC on this episode. He doesn't know yet, but he will when he listens in. So this is for Doctor Who fans, and has the 8th Doctor meet Miyamoto Musashi in Japan. So check that out. My personal Instagram is at benwanrider. My cat's Instagram is at Alfie Pennyworth Cat. You might have seen him make a little cameo in this episode for just a little bit. But he's at Alfie Pennyworth Cat. And if you also have an Alfie or any type of cat like any of the hosts of the show, then you can get the Whisker Box, the only cat box for the crazy cat lady and gent. But if you don't have a cat, that's okay, because you can get the Bark Box, y'all. Yes. You can use our promo link in order to get the first month off free, valued at $35. And you can find that link over at superherostuffpod.com/shop, where you can check out the Bark Box, the Whisker Box, the Whisper Bidets for your hiney, the eBay stuff for Batman merchandise, a lot of Amazon affiliate links, all stuff to add to your life and your collection and help us out a little bit too. Over to Zach.
All right. Now I can click for myself. All right. If you want to see more artworks by myself, you can go to ZacharyJacksonBrownArt.com. You can also follow me on all the social media sites other than Twitter's. I'm on the TikToks, the YouTubes, and the Instagrams. Just look up Zachary Jackson Brown Art, and you'll find something that looks like this right here.
Spidey.
That's right.
Cool,
I
man.
am doing Spider-Man. I'm super busy right now. I'm trying to get done with all this other bullshit so I can draw some more Spider-Man stuff so I can get it out of my system before the big day. I want to draw Venom next, so there's a little preview for you.
Oh, yeah.
Nice.
All you little smooth brains at home, you get to find out something before everybody else does. How about that?
Which Venom, Zach?
I'm actually going to do a comic book version of him, so
Oh.
neither Hardy nor
Grace.
Topher Grace. It's actually, I'm basing it on an unused animatronic from Spider-Man 3, which is,
Ooh.
he looks like a real-life comic book Venom, so
That's
yeah,
cool,
that'll
man.
be fun, yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
shit. Now we got to have an episode looking at that.
Yeah.
I bet people would watch something with a picture of Venom on it. Who knows?
There's only been, like, what, 3 of those, right? Like, 3 concept design. It'd be like a 15-minute episode.
Oh, no, I just mean Venom in general. We could just...
Oh, yeah, Venom in general. Yeah,
we could talk about Venom.
Yeah, for sure. I read the Donny Cates run recently. It fucking is awesome.
Yeah.
Nice.
It's rock and roll as fuck. It's like, if you like metal and you like Venom, it's
Mm-hmm.
fucking like, it's fucking really good. It's good,
Nice.
man. Yeah.
All right.
That's it. So, we want you to do us a favor.
I want you to tell all your friends about us.
And don't drink the Drano.
You smooth brains.
We'll put some dirt in your eyes.
Yeah.
Smooth brains sounds like a fucking epithet.
What's wrong, little
Not been
Goblin
using
Jr.? You gonna cry? I'm ending the broadcast.